outing.
He left some pitches over the middle. I thought the first few innings was the best strike quality and the best strike throwing we've seen from him in a while, and kind of got hurt on a couple tough pitches that he left out over, and just wasn't able to really regroup. They really made him work there in the third, but I thought he battled, and like I said, I think we were really thrilled with the way he threw the ball. Just too many pitches over the heart of the plate.
Guardians lose 2-3 to Texas over his last 3 outings. Cantillo's given up 15 earned runs in just 11 innings. Austin Hedges had to make his second appearance on the mound this season. He worked the 8th, giving up 2 runs on 4. Guardians only 6 base hits, 2 of those from Stephen Kwan. Guardians back home tonight, going to start a 3-game series against the New York Yankees. Guardians faced the Yankees last week as part of their 6-game road trip, and they won their first series in the Bronx in 5 years by taking 2 of 3. Gavin Williams going to try to become the first 10-game winner in Major League Baseball this season. He'll get the start tonight. Williams 9-3, a 3.20 ERA. Browns cornerback Denzel Ward saying over the weekend he still wants to stay in Cleveland despite Myles Garrett being traded last week to the Rams. Ward spoke at a celebrity softball game in Eastlake on Saturday. Ward admits that he too could be traded, but added that he loves playing for the Browns and wants to be here. Meanwhile, Ward and his teammates get together to start mandatory minicamp tomorrow in Berea. NBA Finals continuing tonight as the New York Knicks play host to the San Antonio Spurs. It's Game 3. New York leads 2-0, becoming just the 3rd team in NBA Finals history to win the first 2 games on the road, joining the 93 Chicago Bulls and the 95 Houston Rockets. The Knicks have also won 13 straight postseason games, second longest streak in NBA playoff history. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
I feel like, in all honesty, got a little complacent. You get used to a city, you get used to your routine, everything like that. But at the same time, it kind of refired me up. Like, end of the year last year, I'm not going to throw away 6 years that they treated me unbelievable for, 6 months of indifference or whatever. So I still have no ill will to anybody there.
Crazy trade, definitely a crazy trade. Yeah, I believe that, you're either with us or against us. And as you see, he's not with us. So crazy trade, but hey, that's the nature of this game. That's the nature of football and the NFL, and that's what happened. The nature of the game. Say I do get traded, then I feel, for me, like I'm wherever I'm at, that's where I'm supposed to be. So if I'm here, I'm supposed to be here. I go to a different team, that's where I'm supposed to be. But I love playing for the Cleveland Browns. I want to be here, and I'm just grateful wherever I'm at. Wherever opportunity I get to go play football, that's what I do.
This is Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Tone, good morning.
Hey, what's happening?
I'm doing well. It's a big day today. It's going to be even bigger. If you are in Bay Village or Avon Lake, think twice about going to work today. You get to see something incredible. More on that coming up at 6:43. Something very incredible. If you're getting ready for work, you might want to think about taking PTO.
Oh, we've been gearing up.
For some folks, I am absolutely dead serious. For some of the others,
we've been gearing up for this in the Lima household.
Actually, I think a lot of people are going to be excited. I think some people, you're going to roll your eyes, but some people are going to be very, very, very excited. All right, coming up at 8:20 this morning. Is Daryl joining us at 8:20 this morning? All right, I finally get to ask him the question then about Jim. Finally get to do it. Anyway, you heard Denzel right there. Does it change your mind at all? Because, so last week, you weren't here on Monday. Big conversation about Myles, big elephant in the room. Then it happens. And then Tuesday, I was with you, and I got brought up briefly about Denzel Ward and his future. And there were immediately a lot of people going, oh, no, you can't get rid of it. You can't. And I figured once the best player was gone, it just made it easier to move on from some of the other players to go after some guys. I was actually surprised at the reaction that was there about trading Denzel.
The floodgates are supposed to be open now,
and there were plenty of people saying, absolutely not. You cannot trade this guy. You cannot do that. And then I thought,
people said that?
I swear. Why would I make that up? Did I make it up?
After they traded Myles?
After they traded Myles. I got a lot of people.
Interesting.
A couple of comments.
Did they say why?
A couple of comments about, just because he's from here. He's a Cleveland guy. He likes it here. The usual fare. Not a lot of football reasons why. to be honest with you. But there was a lot of the, he's a guy who loves it. And I think, honestly, with moving on from Miles, it makes everybody kind of go over the last 9 years of Myles Garrett. But then I think it also makes you examine the time that we've had with Denzel Ward. And I think it puts Denzel Ward's time in a different light. And how he's been with the fans, how he's been in the area. And there were a lot of people having comments, and I actually agreed with them. I go, for all the hand-wringing and stuff, and we've done a lot over Myles Garrett over his time with the Cleveland Browns, there was really very little about Denzel Ward. There's some injury issues that we've had. There's been some weird conversations about those.
But the value is never remotely going to be the same.
As far as what?
The return.
No.
The return. So,
no.
In terms of reshaping a roster and trying to elevate a rebuild and, doing everything you can to make sure you're getting what you can, the pieces and parts to help, recreate this roster, it was never going to be, the corner was never, albeit a lockdown corner, was never going to be the formula for that.
No, it wasn't. And I really did, I think I read people wrong on that, where at least the reaction was to me that they did not want to lose Denzel Ward after trading away Myles Garrett, which Denzel Ward, and you heard a couple of those comments. I'll play them again for you coming up here in just a moment. But you heard some of those comments that he had made, and I think that there is a loyalty conversation to be had with fans. And there's always going to be a time for some fans where some player goes, whether it's in free agency, whether it's in trades, and it kind of breaks everything for them, and they go, okay, I no longer treat these players the way that I used to trade them when I was a kid. That type of thing. And I maybe people still go case by case when it comes to Denzel. I know they went that way with Nick Chubb. I think a lot of people in their heart of hearts knew that last year with Nick, that he wasn't the same type of running back that he had been the years before. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the injury, for crying out loud. But I think there were still a lot of people who were really upset with the Browns and really upset just because he had ended up going to the Houston Texans. And what he did with the Houston Texans wasn't, I'm not trying to talk trash about Nick Chubb whatsoever. It wasn't like overly remarkable or anything
he's
crazy.
Clearly fallen off.
Yeah, but there were a lot of people there were some people who were very upset about the loyalty to it. Fans, they get upset about players. And I maybe it was that way with Denzel Ward, even though Denzel Ward hasn't had anywhere near the drop-off that a running back would have.
No.
But it still feels that way with some fans.
Minus the concussions, right? Denzel should be able to play at this rate, at this level. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Joe Hayden. Think about Joe Hayden when we thought he was starting to get a little washed up in Cleveland. He goes to Pittsburgh. Did he make a Pro Bowl with the Steelers?
He had a bit of a renaissance.
He ended up having a couple of years where he played back near that level. So it wouldn't surprise me if Denzel was able to maintain this level. The question with Denzel, and basically when the Myles thing happened, I came on the air next day, and people just thought it was a foregone conclusion on Denzel, and I'm like, well, by the deadline. I thought
it was any time with Denzel. That's what my thought was.
Well, I just didn't think anybody right now, teams aren't desperate the way they will be at the deadline. So, that's different from a Myles Garrett swing where the Eagles might have been involved and the contenders feel like they need that one piece that could make a difference come playoff time and everything. Teams don't even know if they're going to, most teams don't even know or already have their secondary. So it would involve guys going down with injuries or the current guys they have on that team or the rookies not being able to step up and the second-year players not being able to step up. That's why I think the market for Denzel might become more robust at the deadline. That was not the case with the Myles Garrett situation.
Well, with Myles, I think one of the issues that people brought up was if you traded him at the deadline, because I was like, well, maybe still deadline. I wanted to start the season with Myles and see where the season went before we had those conversations. But there were definitely people advising against that because of the injury situation. All right, well, Myles, yes, can get banged up. Now, he's played through some pretty significant injuries before. Denzel would. His criticism has always been he hits bigger than his body. His body is not big enough to take the hits that he dishes out on it. But it's a higher likelihood that Denzel would be hurt by the trade deadline than what Myles Garrett would have been.
But I'm not going to sit there and when Joe Thomas was here that last year, I was like, this is asinine not to get a first-round pick for him. I can't believe, there's a team that would just gift-wrap you a first-round pick and we're just going to keep Joe Thomas on one of the worst teams in football. Never made sense to me, but I don't have that attachment to player. Oddly enough, I have more of an attachment to Joe now than I did when we were playing.
True.
Just because he's become buddies with us. And certainly over the weekend got some responses to an event that Joe was at with a very famous
6:09 and 52 seconds. If you had before 6:10, straighter box. Congratulations, you're a winner.
But the Joe thing was very different to me. It never made sense not to just take a team is just going to give you a first rounder for a guy who's not going to help you win. Joe Thomas was never going to help the Browns win at the end. He would admit it.
Is Denzel going to help you?
Denzel, yeah. You know what? He could help you win what? 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But then I expect the drop off to really happen with him. So, but I'm not sitting here going, oh man, if he gets another concussion and we don't get, because I'm not hearing first round pick. You know, I had said that on Tuesday. I'm like, oh, man, obviously they're going to trade Denzel. And now after just kind of listening to people talk around the league, I think Zach Jackson said third or maybe a second. I'm like, oh, it's not an all-time
well, if you're
missed
saying
opportunity.
a third or maybe a second. I thought second.
Okay, it's not as big of a missed opportunity if you can't trade him. And plus, then I do weigh in, hey, you know what, he is one guy here that fans love. And you know me, I don't have that attachment nearly as much.
When it comes to that, we do usually, like I thought the conversation started at 3 first rounders. So that's probably where it would finish for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I understand that we had some, but Tom Pelissero came on and kind of did the weird math around it, like the curve that made it like, oh, well, technically when you think about it, you did get 3 first. Like, let's not go crazy here. Because you got Jared Verse back, you got the first round pick back. I just thought, man, if you add more to the chest, but if we're adding it naturally, I think we overrate our own players, so I would naturally overrate Denzel Ward and the return you would get for him. And I know we looked around some of the other places. Yeah, I think if Sauce Gardner had a different name, I think you probably would have got less for him if you're the Jets last year. But that was a trade deadline move. So maybe the deadline is, we'll see where the season goes. If you start off better than what a lot of people think you're going to be, maybe we'll talk about holding on. If things go not very well, or a lot of people think they're going to go not very well, then yeah, let's open up that possibility.
I do have a larger question, and this is more from a thematic sense, overall sports, big picture stuff.
Yeah.
In our recent sports watching years, obviously LeBron left twice. That's totally set that aside, different category. But seeing Baker, who was as big a fan favorite as it gets, seeing how that unfolded towards the end. Seeing Nick
more on
Chubb
him coming up a little bit.
Oh yeah, Nick Chubb, the injury, and then eventually what led to, him leaving. And you go one by one. Myles Garrett, as good a player in any sport as we may ever see. There's a chance we may never see in all 3 sports somebody as good as Myles Garrett. Are fans doing what I always say that I do? Are fans getting to the point, especially in today's day and age, when even your favorite college players, it's year to year, on the type of attachment you might have with them?
No.
Are fans getting to the point where they are going to prevent themselves from having that visceral, emotional attachment
I think,
to a player?
It depends on what age you're talking about. I think if you're talking to teenagers and anybody younger, there's always going to be an attachment to a player. And whether or not you feel that way for the rest of your life, it depends on how much you love that player during that time. But there's always going to be guys that you feel a soft spot for from as a kid. But as an adult, I don't know. I think it's different. Like, there's guys that come and go, and you get used to talking to them. You develop some sort of a relationship with them. That part makes it tough. That part makes this part of it
I feel like
difficult.
Jose is the last one for me.
But as
like Jose Ramirez is that's the last one that I may have that attachment with. That if we found out the Guardians made a huge deal and traded Jose Ramirez, I'd be like, my jaw would have to be picked up.
Yeah, that would probably be.
But outside of that, I don't.
There's no probably about it. That'd be beyond the pale.
If the Cavs traded Evan Mobley, tomorrow wouldn't be like, oh man. I mean, some people felt that way with Garland, but there's just nobody. There's nobody. I don't know, and I'm older now, right? So
but I just think
I'm in a different.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to be anymore that attached to 20-year-old athletes. I mean, let's be honest. You're not supposed to.
That gets a little weird, right?
There might be certain stories and certain storylines you follow, and then you really like them. But a lot of it's like, I mean, we did this. Okay, we'll talk about it. We did this with Baker. You remember that when people were naming their dogs after him and stuff. And Liz is like, I like that name because she was pregnant with Jonah. I'm like, I'm not naming him Baker. And she's not even like she likes the Browns, but she's not a big sports fan. She just thought the name was cool because she kept hearing it all the time. I go, no. And she goes, why? And I go, I'm 9 years older than him. I'm going to talk to this guy. And at the time, it was going to be for the rest of his career with the Cleveland Browns, which meant he would still be with the Cleveland Browns today in a different universe. And it was like, I'm not going to sit across the table from a guy. And when I named my kid, arguably I named my kid after him. Yes, I understand where the name Axel comes from. Different story, different all the way around it. But when it comes to him, I wasn't going to do that. And so that was my first foray into like, yeah, kind of like the stuff with the players isn't the same anymore. And I like Denzel. I think Denzel's a hell of a player. Denzel's a good person. But I think if you get to the trade deadline and the Browns are sucking up the room and there's a chance to send him to a defense for a second-round pick because maybe the price might go up considering there's the desperation that a team might have to try to punch their ticket into the Super Bowl, then yeah, I think I'd be willing to have that conversation with a competitive football team. Like, I don't know if I'd want to send, I'll tell you this, he's been such a good player for you. I don't know if I'd want to send him to some garbage dumpster team for a third-round pick right now. Like, I wouldn't want to send him to the Cardinals for a third-round pick. I wouldn't understand that. But when it comes to the Browns, when it comes to us, yeah, I know we're not expected to be that good this year, but if we get to the trade deadline, a good team's willing to offer a decent pick, yeah, I'd have that conversation. I think that, and I think I'd have that conversation with Denzel. I go, do you want to go to a team that contends or do you want to stay here? Because if it's a second rounder, then I might have to do what I have to do for the franchise, honestly. But a third round pick, I think that if that's the best we can get, I do think that there's a conversation that we have to have with each other on that. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm just not in a rush to do that now. I'm not like, we got to get a third round pick now for Denzel Ward. That to me would be defeating in many ways.
Now, there would be some people who say they just want the quarterback. And so there are people aiming to lose this year. I'm not one of them. I just don't know as of this moment, and it's still really fresh, but I'm starting to kind of see around the corner and to see what's coming. As of right now, I can't see myself. Like early season, yeah, there might be some fireworks if they lose games. There might be some early season Monday morning fireworks. I can't see myself getting that upset for very long, considering how big of a trade this is and what you tell the world when you make a trade like that last week. And if it were to be Denzel, you'd really be telling the world what you plan on doing. So I kind of dig the idea of keeping him around to see where it would go. And if it goes to a bad place, there's only going to be contenders that are there. Hopefully he's still healthy. Let's have a conversation with Denzel. He might deserve that right as a veteran. Coming up at 8:20 this morning, 8:20 this morning, the dangerous one, Daryl Ryder, going to join us on the show. Coming up at 6:43, if you live near the lake shore, you might want to take today off. A big event is happening today in Northeast Ohio, and you need to know about it. That's coming up later on today. But however, what the hell happened last year? Looking for an explanation. That's coming up. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan. Peter and
shows. Find it all on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
The nature of the game, say I do get traded, then I feel, for me, like I'm wherever I'm at, that's where I'm supposed to be. So if I'm here, I'm supposed to be here. I go to a different team, that's where I'm supposed to be. But I love playing for the Cleveland Browns. I want to be here. Yeah, I'm just grateful wherever I'm at, Wherever opportunity I get to go play football, that's what I do.
Denzel at a softball game yesterday says he wants to stay around. He's looking forward to the future with the Cleveland Browns. What about the past of the Cleveland Browns? Boy, got a little bit more explanation on some things that happened over the weekend. Did you see what Landry Locker shared with us?
I happened to see that, our friend in Houston.
Yeah, down there in Houston. Landry's got his own thing going down there, and there's been a couple of former Browns that have ended up with the Houston Texans over time. But didn't Christian Kirksey end up with the Texans after the Browns? I thought Christian Kirksey did. Yes, and then you had because he went to the Packers, and then he went to either way. I might have gotten my rods and codes mixed up. Then of course you had Nick last year, and now Wyatt Teller there this year. And
Think maybe Deshaun Watson a few years from now. Do you think he could go back? No, probably not. Yeah, probably not.
Maybe wait a minute, he can't go back as a backup someday down the line?
I don't think so.
Hey, Reggie Jackson ended up with the Oakland A's by the time it was all said and done. I understand there's differences there, but still, never say never. Anyway, speaking of Wyatt Teller had some comments yesterday that might have opened up the Pandora's box into some of the stuff that happened last year. Go ahead.
In all honesty, got a little complacent. You get used to a city, you get used to your routine, everything like that. But at the same time, it kind of refired me up. End of the year last year, I'm not going to throw away 6 years that they treated me unbelievable for, 6 months of indifference or whatever. So I still have no ill will to anybody there. But I felt like they kind of blamed it on the offensive line, which don't get me wrong, did we play at our standard? We were the top 5 offensive line for so long and then to kind of drop off. But there were so much issues, you can't point at one thing. But that being said, it kind of fired me up coming into this offseason, training as hard as I've trained in a long time, kind of getting body fat down, getting weight up, getting back to strength. Coach Eubanks here is unbelievable. We had a great strength coach in Cleveland and Larry Jackson, but Mike Eubanks here is the real deal. The way we practice, you kind of have to train extremely hard, not only be strong, but also be in condition. I feel like there were some things that I did in the past that just wasn't in condition as well as I could, trying to tread on the tires, but at the end of the day, you don't want to take anything for granted. You don't want to be like, hey, I'm saving it for next year, saving next year, when there could be no next year. And that kind of fired me up a little bit this year.
That's Wyatt Teller talking to the media down in Houston.
It doesn't matter where the training camp or OTAs are. There will always be a truck in reverse in the background.
Yes, it's true.
It just doesn't matter.
Oh, my God. It's absolutely true.
It's almost like a bit.
That is true.
Yeah.
What did you think of those comments when he said about blaming the offensive line?
Well, just because of what I do for a living, I don't know that the average fan does this as much, but we are always trying to parse through every form of communication to figure out what went wrong, why did it go wrong. And you're sitting there listening to him talk about the indifference after 6 years or all the good years, and then the last 6 months and whatever went haywire. And then you're waiting. Is he talking about Kevin? Is he talking about Andrew? Who's he talking about? Is he talking about the quarterback situation? Yeah. How does he feel about Shador? Like you just sit there and you got the popcorn out and you're waiting to get any kind of intel you can because you feel like, hey, that whole thing ended up in a weird mess, but then the coach just left and the GM stayed. So is that the organization all admitting that was all Kevin and Andrew had nothing to do with it? Did a call come from up above? Like, hey, we need to see other guys on the offensive line. Like, even if it meant losing games or putting your young quarterback at risk.
So you say whatever you want to.
Or your running game.
This show, and I know I like Wyatt. All right? Everybody knows that. I like Wyatt personally. That said, you can't. I don't care if Wyatt and I hated each other. I still thought it was asinine to rotate your offensive linemen the way that they did.
Yeah, what happened?
And the best thing that happened for them afterwards, to explain it technically, was that he got banged up at the end. Well, I don't think he gets banged up at the end had you not had him come in cold for a 4th down when you had Tevin Jenkins out there. Go ahead and let Tevin Jenkins finish things off then if you're going to do it that way. I mean, I'm going back to my own memory last year because I thought it was just ridiculous. to take you don't rotate offensive linemen. And the way I had thought about it was I thought it was just terrible considering the quarterback situation where you're trying to tell me that you take these guys seriously and you're rotating offensive linemen when I didn't have anybody on an injury list before this. Like, again, the best example I can give of an offensive lineman rotation is always out of necessity. This wasn't out of necessity until it became out of necessity because Wyatt Teller ended up getting banged up. If you just wanted to put in, I mean, we got to a point there in the season where if you just wanted to put in Tevin Jenkins to see what Tevin Jenkins can do, fine. And yeah, I know a lot of people are sitting there counting all the days that Wyatt Teller kind of had a rough day at the office in this last year, and I think Wyatt says it wasn't his very best season, no matter what. It wasn't, no matter what I want to say. But I still thought there was a way to go about this better instead of putting your quarterbacks at risk. I thought that was ridiculous. And really taking an offensive line, what bothered me the most is that if you're an offensive guy, and maybe we'll hear more about this as time goes on. Again, Barry's still here. Kevin Stefanski isn't. And I don't know how many people care about Kevin Stefanski anymore. But I do think that's a look into, wait a minute, if you're a Falcons fan, if that ends up being true, I get really weirded out about how little Kevin Stefanski may think offensive line play may mean, which is maybe a cheap shot. I don't care, because that would be scary to me if you're just taking guys and putting them there and thinking that they're going to be able to fill in. To me, that's the wrong type of thinking. There are guys who are great athletes that can do different things. I mean, hell, we're hoping that Spencer Fano can go right over there to left tackle and start left tackle week 1 against the Jags, and we're going to go through a nice double-digit season career with Spencer Fano, and he's going to be a great left tackle for us, and God bless him, I hope he is. But there is a risk to doing any of this, and we saw that with the guy that we're hoping that he ultimately replaces, where that didn't go that way. He wasn't willing to put in that type of work. He wasn't willing to get over that threshold. And that's what you're hoping with Spencer Fano. So to just take offensive linemen and willy-nilly put them in there wasn't right to your football team, and it certainly wasn't right to your quarterback situation. So I understand the way that PFF graded it. I saw the PFF grades, guys. I know that the offensive line wasn't as bad as what we made him out to be at times, and that they definitely came off as a scapegoat with certain QB performances. I understand that too in certain games. But still, you can't tell me that was a great thing to do for your football team. QB, the whole group, is to be rotating guys in and out and thinking we're going to get over the hump. And then having a guy come in there cold and then hurt himself in a calf, which can be a very serious injury if you let that linger, and have that type of problem that you had for the rest of the year.
Did you have any problem with him admitting that, basically said like he's going to have to recommit himself to getting stronger and all that stuff? I know I saw some fans say, oh, now he does that. And I'm like, well, athletes can be very, put.
I thought it was a strong admission.
Yeah.
I thought it was a strong admission.
Like, they always do talk about their motivational tactics. And I think, some guys, there is a malaise, right? We use that term so much with the Cavs and the fans.
You look at the way
it can happen with professional athletes.
Wyatt's career has been. They said some nasty things about him on the way out the door with the Buffalo Bills when he got traded to Cleveland. They said some really nasty things, questioned his toughness, the whole thing. You're here for a long period of time, 6-7 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. You've seen a lot during that time. Yeah, I think there does tend to be a little bit of a tendency to kind of slack off a little bit. And I think Wyatt has reset himself once when he came from Buffalo to Cleveland. He'll have to reset himself again. Certain guys, it's very hard to keep going back to it when everything else is going around. That's what made Joel great. That's what made Joe great, is you still had consistent great play even though everything around them was going haywire. That's why we had so much respect for those guys, because it is hard. I mean, look at the way you are as Browns fans. When we get to December, do people care during a terrible year? No. We start talking more Cavs. We hope that the Guardians end up having a nice long jump into the postseason so we can put off some of the bad Brown stuff that we have to talk to. I mean, that comes from us. So if you're playing for them, of course, it's only going to be natural at times to, it's going to be hard to get up for this game considering we're a 3-win team and everybody's talking about getting everybody fired and they're talking about me ending up in other places. I could see that. I should be more critical of Wyatt than during his time this last year because he's openly admitting it. But at the same time, I can understand where he's coming from on that. I mean, when you get let go of by a team and you end up being a free agent, I think it was, week 2 with the Houston Texans, that's a challenge to you. That's a challenge for you and your career as a football player.
It was just very interesting to me that comes out yesterday, and then it sent the fans in scramble mode to try to connect dots on everything. So I don't know that, we're not going to hear from Kevin Stefanski.
No.
we're just, he's coaching a team. It's not like he's doing
Did you think there was
media.
a different explanation than what I just said?
No,
Maybe you felt differently.
I agreed that clearly, but we knew why it was his temperament changed last year, and the way that the team, it's always like the team will talk guys up, their PR will talk guys up, and everything is kumbaya until it isn't. And we clearly could see at the end of the year. And, part of it was his family's social media posts as well. We appreciate everybody in the Teller household that listen to the show every day. But we could tell that something went down. We're just trying to figure out how it went down.
I think Wyatt, at certain times last year, became very paranoid. When you make those switches on the offensive line, he's in the last year of his contract. You're reaching an age that isn't necessarily conducive with staying around on a football team like this.
Yeah, the end is near, right?
I think that, you could definitely think that way. And with the way things went, I'm just not surprised. I wish him the very best. Love Wyatt. But I do think that we need to hold on to that audio because that's a look back into the past of what could help explain some of the stuff that's here in the future. Because I can't blame everything on the offensive line all the time. I can't just keep doing that. 216-474-0092. Daryl Rutter going to join us at 8:20 this morning. I told you, if you live in Avon Lake or Bay Village, you might want to consider taking today off before you head on over there to work. I'm going to tell you why, because, folks, you could be witnessing history right along the lakeshore on the Fan.
Genius. See website for details.
Well, we have our first issue of the morning, an accident. 77 southbound just before 480. So be careful as you head towards that section in your trek this morning. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland Traffic.
There's only one place to hear breaking Browns news. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. 92.3 The Fan.
7:02, we can't be so desperate. We got to have a little bit of patience. Just give me 1 year. Give me 1 year of patience. Because maybe some of the worst possible news for the future of the football team happened over the weekend for me. That's a very nasty thing to say about somebody. I didn't mean for it to come out that way, but we'll find out coming up at 7:02. However, if you live along the lakeshore, especially in Avon Lake and Bay Village, if you're going to work, you might want to think about taking the day off. You have a chance to see history, friends. To see history. Ladies and gentlemen, big boy number 4014 will be rolling through town sometime in the midday. Owen, hit it.
To celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States, the impossible is about to happen. Union Pacific announced that Big Boy 4014 will embark on its first ever coast-to-coast tour and make railroad history. The tour will be a moving museum and a thundering reminder of the industrial power that built America. Big Boy 4014, it was built to conquer mountains. A 1.2 million pound giant of steel and steam that ruled the rails in an era of titans.
Audio courtesy of John Hesterman, who's a fantasy football guy, apparently, not just a train enthusiast.
Yeah, it's a train fantasy, too, apparently.
Big Boy 4014. I beg your pardon calling it 4014. Big Boy 4014.
The Union Pacific
is going right through town on that main line. I tried to find out the name of the line. I have no idea the name or the number of the line. I'm sure there's some train enthusiasts who know the name of the line. I beg your pardon. The 1941.
It's the one that makes me late to work every once in a while.
The world's largest, most powerful operating steam locomotive is rolling through town today, making several stops along the lake as it makes its way through. It leaves this morning. Now, you are having a watch party at the end of your street. What's going on there? Because Lima lives right near the train tracks. I don't want to give away where you live, but you live right near the train tracks.
The wrong side.
There is
the wrong side
always
of the
the wrong side. It's never the right side. So there was a couple distributing flyers yesterday to welcome everybody to their party because they are having a watch party at the end of the street and by the walking path, Kenny.
All right.
Big Boy, this talks about it leaving Lorraine at 11:30 a.m. eastbound and then gets to Euclid at 1:30 p.m. So you have these parameters, you have these estimates. And you just heard, I sent a video, and then you saw exactly.
You told us about it like a month ago.
Yeah.
And I Google searched it, and apparently Google thought I needed to see about it every day of my life. So I have been. So now.
Oh, it's been all over my social media.
And now that I've watched the videos of it actually in action, because it's been on the road or been on the rails for a week now.
Yeah.
Going from Iowa, it's now in Lorraine.
Coast to coast.
It'll be going to Euclid, but anywhere between there on that line that separates Avon and Avon Lake, that literally to get out of town, you have to cross that line. There's a restaurant bar that is right there that is having a watch party. I just saw it.
Like selling tickets?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're normally not open at this time, but we're opening up today. Come get food and drinks. It's leaving at Lorraine at 11:30.
Oh, that's so cool.
Let's get out there. I wasn't going to do anything about it, and now I absolutely
Now you feel like you have to, right?
There.
And, of course, like all the visuals, if you go on YouTube, like we watched Jay Leno, doing an hour special with this thing, because there were 25 of these, and now there's only one that you have a chance to see. And it's historic. Like, my whole life, I didn't know the name of it. But you've seen it. You've seen it, whether it's like...
Anytime you see a train going through a mountain video.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And the visuals are always amazing in parts of the West, right? When you see this thing coming through, because it was supposed to traverse through the mountains.
Yeah. So this is the issue here, is you have... So it's supposed to go through... It's not stopping in Bay Village. It's just rolling through, right?
Just rolling through.
Can you see the train tracks?
Yes.
I was about to say, from your front porch, you should be able to see the train tracks, right?
Yeah, we can.
You need to put a camera. Do you have a outdoor camera for your house?
No.
Okay, so going over there and run. No, I'm kidding. You got to put a camera from your front porch, point it, and then go up and see it because it's a look back in time. This is from 1941. It looks amazing.
It's huge,
and it is the world's biggest. It is the world's largest. They don't call it the small boy. Right. They call it the big boy. 216-474-0092. John. Do you think that's how you know it's steam?
Will you get the chills? That's why I wonder, will people get chills when they hear this thing coming through?
Yes.
I'm always thinking of the scene in...
People love trains, brother. You have no clue.
What was the train in the movie?
My favorite movie, the first one, where they just tie him up on the train track.
the bad guys, yeah. Stand By Me.
Yes.
That's like the first train that I can ever remember, like in film, when I was really young, being kind of horrified at the thought of a train. Like forever I thought, oh yeah, trains run people over. That's what they do.
Most American boys go through a train phase. You would imagine. Some stay in it. I mean, I know a guy, he works at the train museum over in Seville and everything. Yeah, dude, it's an obsession. Josh in Grand River, you're next up in the Fan. Yellow.
Good morning, boys. So my buddy Zachary Orvitz is a union foreman for Norfolk Southern and actually got to pilot the big boy this weekend in Bellevue, Ohio.
There you go. See? What an honor. Did he wear the hat?
He wore the hat. I have pictures of it. I could tag you in social media if you'd like to see.
Go right on ahead, Josh. We thank you very much. Scott Rabb, who's listening online on the free Odyssey app over there, I'm just going to put his business out there. He said his son got to see the 401-2 in Scranton decades ago. He said he'd love to see one in action. There you go. If you are in Bayville, there's a man who lives in Los Angeles, California, that if he could would come here to watch the 4014. That's why if you are in Bay Village or Avon Lake, I suggest taking the day off.
So I don't know.
Get the lawn chair
Rocky
out.
River, it's coming through.
I don't know
Lakewood, it's coming through.
If this
For your town.
qualifies as a poll question.
Coming to your
city.
If you ever watch the local news heading into every weekend, it'll have a list of events, right? And you're like, no thanks. No thanks. I want to know if this rises to the level. Does the big boy rise to the level of a big deal? Are you if you see this thing? Because we were having a watch party, but the eclipse was watch party worthy everywhere, and I feel like every workplace in Northeast Ohio stopped what they were doing to watch.
I think it's a little weird. My town has not made a big deal about it, but we tried to sell off plots of land for the for the eclipse, and then it was
for parking. Yeah,
it was cool. But
you were going to have people
because
you live at a dead end.
Yeah,
where the train, you are going to have a bunch of people in your neighborhood.
I think so.
It's going to be a thing.
To get there. Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be a whole thing. Once you get in, you're in. I don't think there's getting out. So you're going to have to go get some booze. You're going to have to go get some other stuff. Yeah, you have to go do everything you can to watch this train go by for what seems 30 seconds.
Yeah. This is impacting Mason's nap schedule today. That's how big of a deal with the wife this is.
Don't want to upset the nap. He's going to be awake for it, isn't he?
Well, we are going to do whatever. Okay. If this thing is late by a half hour, this is going to interrupt
the trains
the
are supposed
day.
To run on time,
supposed to.
Yes.
They got those clipboards.
If I've learned anything from the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode of Train Magic, the trains better be on time. So there you go. Today, also, by the way, it is coming back to town in July.
Yeah, you get another crack at it.
But it's different. Because I have to take action to something midday today. And I'm like, oh my God, Eli would love this. I go, oh no, it's going to be in Struthers on the 12th of Sunday of July. So we're going to Struthers. Get to see him over there. Get two birds stoned at once. Go to Youngstown, see Grandma and Grandpa. Go to I almost called it Struggles. Go to Struthers and go see the train over there on Sunday. It'll be a good time.
Freudian slip. Jeez.
Beg your pardon. Coming up at 8:20 this morning, the dangerous one, Daryl Ryder. Coming up in 5 minutes. Can we be a little patient? Do we have to act so damn desperately at all times? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. I beg you for a little bit of extra time for this football team in 5 on the Fan.
XTENDAV.com. Not even joking.
92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
I know you guys have been waiting around for a long time, and I know that we've had some 60-plus-year-old people call in over the last week. They said that they were done. I get it. Guys, I get it. I know it's been a long time. I'm asking you, give me one more year. Give me one more year before we do this. I saw that news, and I sent it right to the group. Adam Schefter had pointed it out, and I sent to the group in all caps just the F word. That's all I sent, because I know it's going to happen, and I don't want it to happen. And I'm going to get called every word in the book. I'm going to get called a fraidy cat, and that I'm scared. And guys, you're not going to play on my ego as a man to trick me into wanting to make this decision for this football team. That Brennan Sorsby's injunction ain't going to go through. So he's not going to get it?
Yeah, that's
apparently here.
That means that his only option, if he wants to pursue professional football,
don't do this,
and play this sport any longer.
Don't do this.
And make a lot of money.
Don't do this.
I mean, he was going to make like $5 million this year at Texas Tech, reportedly.
Don't do this. Don't do this. We got one more year. Don't do it. I'm serious. This is not guys, it's not that. He might be redeemable. We are just starting. Can I just let another team be the canary in the coal mine?
The Steelers.
Let the Steelers be it. Knowing that.
That's what you have to do. To play this out and do it responsibly.
I mean, the Steelers have gone after 2 quarterbacks in 2 years. They just brought in Drew Aller. Mm-hmm. They're not putting in a bid on him. They're not going to put in a bid on him.
How many quarterbacks we gone after?
We've gone after a bunch, but we're the Browns. They're them. They're not going after Brennan Sorsby. So Brennan Sorsby's injunction, according to Adam Schefter, has been denied. He was ruled ineligible after he acknowledged gambling on sports, including his own team, while in Indiana. The denial of Texas Tech appeal is separate from Sorsby's lawsuit against the NCAA. So maybe there's a possibility here, but don't be going after him. Please, 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 please. I can already see it. Please don't do this. Please don't do it.
I say do it.
No, don't do it.
I think it'd be fun.
I know you're not. Wait a minute. Are you doing it just to upset me? Or are you doing it?
No.
Are you doing it because it's a Monday and you just want to get me going? Or are you doing it because you really want to? Because I think it's really the first part. I don't think you really want to. I think you just see me getting all worked up. You see me wringing my hands. You like to see me a little nervous.
That is true.
And so then you've made that decision. What do you mean go for?
Spirit of full disclosure.
What do you mean go for?
Everything you just said was true.
Are we the type of place that can handle such a situation?
You know what? I ask that all the time with so many different players, and the answer is always no. But then we do it, and it doesn't matter because for whatever reason, at various positions, like when we talk about guys with character concerns, I'm always like, what you just said, we can't handle it, right? But then we always end up sitting here having these debates.
I'm not interested.
And then we'll take calls, and then, why did the other teams get to go after the guys with character concerns? This one is a very interesting type of character concern. Because we are still trying to wrap our arms around gambling and the addiction and what it means for this generation of, not just student athletes, but just in everybody's home. Like I asked Owen on Friday.
Like to let somebody else learn it first.
Yeah, I asked Owen on Friday what percentage of high school students, because he's mentoring high school students and they're running through your house like crazy. And I said, what percentage have placed a bet?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty high.
What you said kind of was staggering.
Yeah.
You mean high school students in general?
Yeah.
Well, especially, kids that, I don't know non-athletic high school students that aren't doing some sort of sport.
Okay. Well, yeah, all your kids play sports, so you would.
So I'd say it's over 50. And
50%?
Yeah, and then, guys, they get together and they have poker games, and that's a different type of gambling altogether. But these kids are trading money, for sport.
Listen, if there's back in the day, if somebody knew somebody's dad who had a barber shop or something like that, or they were the member of an Elks club or something there, what are you going to do? All right? Some of it is, what are you going to do? If they're putting together an NCAA poll, a basketball bracket, fine.
We did that.
Some of that stuff, what are you going to do? You having a poker night, whatever, with the guys, fine. What are you going to do? But when it comes to this stuff, like it seems to be a bit greasy. I don't like the story I heard about the parents getting it on their kids' phones or something is disastrous to me.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Ridiculous, but okay. This is not the place that we go looking for guys. And I'm going, I know you guys are set up for a season that might not be so great. I mean, 7 wins, if I'm picking 6 or 7 wins, which I was at 7 and now I'm dropping it to 6, is not a great season. That means that there's going to be a lot of turmoil, a lot of struggling, a lot of strife. And I know you want something to show for it. You want something to look forward to. Brennan Sorsby ain't that guy. He's just not.
So why is he not that guy?
Because of all. You know what?
Because you haven't talked about his talent yet.
No, because I'm not. But when I have the coach of the Browns.
Does it matter to you about his talent?
Obviously it does. That's why he's in the conversation.
That's what I'm saying. You'd be okay with the Steelers getting him.
I don't.
And if you are, then that means you don't think he's that talented.
Only history of me. No, only history of me. That's not the case. There's been plenty of guys that have been talented that have flamed out and have not been able to be much for their football teams. The Steelers have had a couple. I know that we've had a few more, but the Steelers have even had a couple there. There's been plenty of guys that have been talented to flame out. If I don't trust them, then I don't really want a piece of them. And when I heard Todd Monken not just say, hey, we're only focused on our own quarterback room here, which would be the answer. No, he went further into depth and then continued to go into depth about it. It kind of made me go, no, this would be a disaster. This would be a disaster already happening. I don't need any more disasters. I need something that's even though it's not going to win a lot of games, I need something that's going to be somewhat efficient this year. And I think that they can be efficient this year without the possibility of dropping in somebody who has an issue with gambling, an admitted issue with gambling. And I understand I sound like Reefer Madness back in the day. I got it. I know that everything should be supported in moderation. We all have our vices. Clearly, I have more than one. But I just don't think that we're the right place at the right time for this guy. And I know that bothers a lot of people because when are we ever going to be the right place at the right time for any guy? I understand that. But again, I'd much rather have somebody else experiment and see what they do before I go jumping in this water. It's not like he's a one-off. He will be one of very many more to come. Very many more to come. And I told you this 2 weeks ago when you and I were talking about this guy, where I would guarantee you, I'd be willing to put a lot at stake that out of the 253 or 55 guys that were drafted last year in the NFL draft, that one of them at least has put money down on football, college football, maybe even their own team. I'm not going to sit here and act ignorant to that situation. It's not a team of Boy Scouts, but man, we're talking about the franchise quarterback here. And if you give up a significant enough pick in a supplemental draft to bring him in, what's it do for your future of what you're going to do for the draft? Are we just throwing picks against the wall here at this time?
Well,
maybe we are.
I mean, they kind of proved last year that they were throwing picks against the wall when they took Gabriel
and 5th round.
Right. Well,
but this is supposed to be a first round talent guy.
Well, yeah, but right now there's still a lot of speculation. And it's funny, we played the clips of Todd Monken talking about Sorsby, and I did say, like, the format of the supplemental, it does kind of stand to reason that you want to throw other clubs off the set because of how the auction works, or how you go about claiming a player like this. And they do have extra picks in the third and the fourth round.
You really attack them personally if you're Todd Monken.
That's exactly what you'd want to do. You'd want to throw everybody off the set.
We wanted you so bad we decided to publicly shame you.
Well, would you rather? Okay, so what if he
goes...
For
a gambling addiction.
So do they look equally as silly if he ends up victimizing the Browns for the next 10 years on the Steelers? And it's like, remember when the head coach went off on the player and then it came back to bite him twice a year, every single year?
I know, that's a big one hanging out there.
Either way,
I know that.
Either way, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. What I'm wondering is,
I don't know if I'm damned.
Does it matter?
I don't know about that.
Here's what I want to know. Does it matter to you, the facts, the actual facts of his specific case right now, which we don't have a full and comprehensive picture? All we have is reports. Like, we do know, I'm looking at the Dan Wetzel article, included
40 times.
Included 40 wagers on IU football while he was part of that team. So that was, how old was he then? Was he 19?
Old enough to know better.
When that was happening? Sure. But are you old enough to know better at 25, at 30? Like, is this something he can come back from, is what I'm asking?
Yes, it's something he could come back from, but are we the place that is the conducive place for him to come back from it? And you said damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't have to be damned if I don't.
Well, you're damned if you don't if he goes to the Steelers and victimizes you twice a year for the next
Except if I get a quarterback in the 2027 draft that's as good or better than Brendan Sorsby. It's not the Kellen Winslow situation with Ben Roethlisberger where we don't take a quarterback. I mean, this is all done with the assumption that they're going to take a quarterback coming up next year in 2027. So if they take a quarterback that ends up being better than Brendan Sorsby,
but if that's the case,
he's a great story. I didn't think that we were the right place for it. So fine, I guess we'll do battle in the AFC North for years to come if we get the right guy.
So to me, I'll ask you this. What is a better way to go about doing that? Is it to lose as many games as possible, trade off Denzel Ward, put yourself in a position where you get to dictate the terms of next year's draft? Or would it be, hey, you take Sorsby, he redshirts, will get suspended, but redshirts most of this year anyway, and you don't have to worry about celebrating losses? Because that's what we'd be doing. We'd have to celebrate losses in the other scenario.
I know the way you're painting it. I understand the way you're painting it, and I would paint it the same way. No, what you've done is right. Because what you've done is you've put me into a corner where I have to tell people that they have to hope that the Browns lose. I don't want to hope that the Browns lose. I just think that it might happen naturally. And everybody wants their answer as soon as they possibly can. But if I don't think that we're going to be the right situation for each other, then I'm just wasting that time anyway. Because if he's still suspended, we still probably won't do that well anyway. And even if he were a rookie that got to play every single game, they'll probably still not going to do that well. Like the 2027 Browns, even if you take that quarterback, yes, you're going to raise the level of expectations. You're going to raise your level of play. But you could still see them being in 2027 a 9-8 football team, hopefully. You could still see them being maybe a 10-7, which would be a tremendous success for them. But usually around 500, maybe just under 500 still, even with that rookie QB. So you still got to get through the woods here. And I just don't think it's the right investment. I think it's a scary investment.
What are the types of teams that can absorb
teams
this
that
type of situation?
I would say that teams that already have long-term starters, but they wouldn't want to put that type of money down or that type of pick down on a supplemental draft. So now it forces us, the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Jets. I guess the Steelers would be involved in this in supplemental because they're not out of the woods themselves.
Okay, because you were mentioning all the bad teams that need a quarterback.
Yes.
And then to that, I just wonder, then why not us? It's other bad teams. They can do it, but we can't.
Because I'd rather them make the mistake. And I think it would probably end up being a mistake.
Well,
216-474-0092. Yeah. Would it be a mistake? I mean, I'll just say, Lyman, like, you're giving me lots of reasons to put me on defense, but you're not giving me a lot of positivity here other than, well, we don't really know. Well, I'm about to hand him over the franchise. We don't really know.
Well, that's the thing. Would you, if let's say you bid a third rounder and you got him?
Can I answer that when we come back? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, and it's not over, but Lima wants to give a former Cavalier credit for his greatness. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S.
play for the Browns and wants to be here. Meanwhile, Ward and his teammates get together for the start of mandatory minicamp tomorrow in Berea. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I have had, through message, through email, through text, I've had at least 8 people who were like, yep, I'm going to see it. Not like close to the area, too. Apparently it's stopping in Menor as well. Might be stopping in Menor. Or it might be rolling through. I don't know. I got to read.
Somewhere on the, it's either Euclid or Menor, somewhere over there.
It's on their website. You can look at, you can Google Big Boy 4014, 4014.
Be careful when you're on Twitter if you do that.
Yeah, don't do
X,
that.
It comes up with different stuff.
Yeah, I would just hit the Google and put Union Pacific, Big Boy 4014.
See, I put Union Pacific.
Put train in there.
Yeah, you can't do. Oh, you definitely don't want to put train in there.
You could certainly mess that thing up if you end up doing that.
So I think in Euclid and in Lorraine, you have a 15-minute window where it's going to be parked.
Right.
And you could go see it if you can park somewhere near it.
But you got to get there early.
Tough. Yeah.
You're going to have to go early. Like I sent the thing already, the one that's going to Struthers, because I have a previously planned engagement today, so I can't go. My middle son obviously loves trains. And so I said, we're going to be out in that area coming up in July. And I told my wife already this morning, we're going to have to be there early. You have no idea. Like, apparently I did not realize. I knew people were obsessed with trains. I didn't realize this was their Super Bowl. Like, for some people, this is where it's at.
And it's a big deal because it's America 250. So
yes.
They're getting it out there for that. It's a big deal.
It's going to be a big summer around here along the lake shore. Darryl Ryder going to join us at 8:20 this morning. So you had asked, what stops me from, why can other teams do it and I can't? Why can other teams afford it? We can't. I'm just saying, hey, if the Cardinals want to give up something to go after that guy, go after Sorsby, if the Dolphins want to, if the Jets want to, I'm fine. It just takes the decision off my plate, and I can go and I can hone it and get ready for the draft coming up in next April. Which I understand that's no given. That's not a perfect thing. But when the coach of the football team, where he could have just stood there and said, we care about our guys and our room. I can't be thinking about other guys. But he goes into the stuff about, it's not about talent. It's not about time. I mean, basically going after his character. Mm-hmm. Like, come on. If you bring him in, that's immediately the first questions that are asked.
Oh,
and then it's
first 100 questions.
How much power does, like, you understand, how much power does Todd Monken have? Well, why would he say that sort of thing, and then you go out there and get him? Has he had a come-to-Jesus moment? Well, I guess how bad our quarterback room really is. So how long do we have to wait on Brendan Sorsby? Are all these guys just placeholders as they are? Depending on who starts, was that really Todd Monken's decision? If Todd Monken could say these things and you still take this quarterback, then I guess he's not able to make a lot of decisions. Like, you still add that in, and that's before he even plays. And then if he does play, like, think about this. He comes here. Let's say you go and you get him in the supplemental draft, all right? Say you get Brendan Sorsby, everybody. Do you or do you not think the first turd he hands in as a quarterback, how many calls? How many? A dozen?
Yeah, that'll follow him.
That we have
100%.
that dump? And that's not just today. That's not just this year. That's probably for the rest of his career. So it's not just the pressure of being,
unless he's just good. If he looks like a top 5 pick, I think that goes out the window pretty quickly.
All quarterbacks go through, you are right, but all quarterbacks go through ebbs and flows. You look through Josh Allen's career, and you look at the game logs. There are months where he's just kind of existing. And it's not like he's the world's worst quarterback. He might have a clunker here or there. Every great quarterback has a clunker here and there. But there's games where he's just not that great. And then he gets it back because he's an elite level quarterback. Lamar Jackson the same way. Mahomes the same way. Joe Burrow even, who I know we've gone back and forth about Joe. And nobody brings up that those guys are on the take if they have a bad game. This is the first thing that people are going to bring up. And I don't wish him poorly. I don't know the guy at all. I have no idea. But because there's been so many questions about the character, because there's been so many questions about the gambling addiction, I go, no, are we crazy? This isn't the right place for him.
So I do love...
There's a lot of ways it can go right, but boy, there's just more that it can go wrong.
I have to laugh, though, when we do these deep dives, and obviously we've talked about Arch Manning to death for 2 years just because of the last name and who he is. And, the guys that project these, do evaluations for a living, the draft world, Like they talk about these guys and then it spills over to the local shows or the podcasts, in every town, and they start talking about guys. This one's funny because, I had never mentioned Sorsby at all. I had never mentioned him once. But it is funny to hear fans say, oh, now it's anybody but Shedeur, or now we got to mention the next group of guys. Where did this guy's name come up? And I'm like, he was going to make $5 million at Texas Tech. And they were going to make him one of the highest paid quarterbacks this year. So he didn't fall out of thin air. This is somebody who was going to go to one of the programs spending the most amount of money this year. So when Albert Breer says he would have been a top 5 pick, he's not making that up. Like projection, if he had a terrible year. But he was probably going to go to a great situation. Texas Tech was spending a lot of money across the board. Like he was going to be a Heisman contender.
And
like this is somebody whose name would have been pretty massive in next year's draft.
I get that. And if he did not have these other issues, obviously there wouldn't be a question. But if he didn't have these other issues, then he wouldn't be in the supplemental draft.
About supplemental.
So he'd just be another name. And if I'm not mistaken, I did write his name down on the 2027 sheet, and I'm going to have to look that up. But I mean, you've had several people, and social media reactions on X are brought to you by
Shivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Well, you had the one that you read during the break that I'm just afraid to upset the Shedeurians. I think the Browns, if anybody, are willing to upset the Shedeurians when they told you what they plan on doing last Monday when they made their trade. I mean, they didn't trade Myles Garrett. Let's be honest. They didn't trade him for another defensive end and another defensive end in the draft. They didn't do that. There's reasons why you trade Myles Garrett.
For the opportunity
to get the guy, and you're going to go get the guy to play the quarterback position. So you can be as mad as you want to and say as many nasty things and slip into as many DMs. But I'm the wrong person to be going after. If you're going after anybody, go after the Browns because they're telling you exactly what they think of the guy.
And
I have to accept that reality.
They would not have traded Myles Garrett if Shedeur would have had Jackson Dart's season.
I can love Deion.
Do people disagree with that?
I agree with you.
I would love to know if fans disagree with that. If it was the Jackson Dart situation going into this year, and there is real excitement there with the Giants about Jackson Dart, had he have had that year, if Shedeur had had that type of a year, they would not have traded Myles Garrett.
No, they would not have. So I have to look at this and be as brutally honest as possible about it with Brendan Sorsby, is that, yes, there brings an opportunity there. But also, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to go through this, I want to go for it for the right guy, not just the next guy. And I want to do that. Like, hey, guys, I can like Deion all I want, but when the Browns did what they did, I have to face reality. And the reality of it is they don't believe that their quarterback is currently on the roster. And they've done desperate things before, like paying another guy how much money to come here, and that not working out. They've done desperate moves before, like trading up and going after some guys, making a couple of bold moves there, and it's never really worked out. And I know that probably there will be another bold move that's available that has to be made before next year's draft. But does it feel like it's going to mix? I know not a lot of people know much about Brendan Sorsby here other than the situation that's played out for him, because not a lot of people are watching Cincinnati football here, or they weren't planning on watching Texas Tech football this coming season. So I know he's not really in a place that a lot of people pay attention to right off the rip, but I got to tell you, Tone, it feels like it's the wrong place, the wrong time, the wrong situation. Just give me one more season to figure it out. And if he goes out there and if he gets picked up by somebody and he serves whatever Roger Goodell believes he should serve for however long, and he goes out there and he plays, well, yeah, you can come out and rip me for it, because I guess I was afraid to go over and make that decision. But there's been plenty of decisions that they have made that have just come out foolhardy and desperate.
Do you
instead of taking stones to do it?
Based on what he has been accused of and what the reporting is and what we know, and by the way, all three of those things are different. Like they're wild accusations that we don't know about. I'm just going by what's in the Dan Wetzel story about, those bets placed when he was 18 and 19 years old. He came in as a very young player. And then there is speculation about money that was set to other people with accounts, right? So you have to take that with a lot of gravity. You have to be dead serious. I mean, if you're the Browns and you're snooping around this stuff, like, you have to know. Is there anything to you that is so bad that he should not be able to play football in the NFL?
No. Okay. That we know of?
That his eligibility should then...
No. The only thing I know about is gambling. That's it. Right. Is there anything else?
No, but I'm asking the level of
The level of gambling?
Yeah, the level of gambling.
No.
Does it matter to you?
No, that he should be able to play in the NFL. I just don't think my situation's the right situation.
So it's okay. You're
yeah, I got no problem. What am I going to sit there and tell my kids? Oh my gosh, my kid. No, I don't care about that.
Well, I just wanted to gauge how serious people thought.
No.
Some of these accusations.
I'm going to have to take a risk on a guy like this at some point. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Probably sometime in the next couple of drafts, we will draft somebody at some position who has a history with gambling. You can almost guarantee it, guys. I mean, for the love of God, by the time 2030 comes around, that means high school guys right now are going into college are going to end up getting drafted. You think that we are going to take a guy who's had a history of gambling at some level, who has been told no to stop gambling? It's going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen. It's not about me not being comfortable with it. If I'm not comfortable with it, then I guess I should just stop being a sports fan. It's not about that. It's about I'd rather another team go ahead and do that sort of thing and then see what right deals they made, what wrong mistakes they made, and want to go through that and learn from them before I'm the one that goes ahead and does it. It's almost the same way when I bring up the whole analytical approach to football. I think a lot of teams have found their mix to the analytical approach of football. Who's the first one who really seemed to start that? At least publicly, it was the Browns. And I think a lot of people use the Browns in the NFL as a canary in a coal mine. I hate to keep using that term.
Yeah, were we too early?
They used us as a litmus test, and then they saw what we did right, what we did wrong, and how we mix and only do the things that they did right. Because the things that we did wrong is we went too herky-jerky on one side of the pendulum to the other. And once we got it down, hopefully this is going to be able to work out the right way. But I think a lot of teams, because of that, have surpassed us. And I'd rather not be the team that is the experiment for everybody else about how to figure out what right and usually what not to do when it comes to a quarterback, and when it comes to a quarterback that has an admitted issue with gambling here. I'd rather somebody else do it and figure out, all right, what did so-and-so do to make Brendan Sorsby work? What did Brendan Sorsby have to do to make this work? What separates Sorsby from quarterback X that's coming out that has a history with the gambling in 2031, somewhere in there? I don't wish ill will on him. I just don't believe that this is the right place or time. The right place and time for Mike Brown is the New York Knicks game 3 tonight at the Garden. I watched that whole game. I could not believe in game 2 where it seemed that Josh Hardy's played in 7 minutes. It's like the fourth quarter, and they're still up by 10. I go, how do all these guys only seem to play a couple of minutes, and they're still up by 10 in this series? I felt a lump in my throat for San Antonio, but you wanted to say something about Mike Brown.
Yeah, well, they it's so funny watching this. They blew a huge lead. They were doing a lot of ISO ball late. They were having trouble in transition. It was a lot of the same things we were saying about the Cavs. The difference is they were able to pull through. They won. The other team committed the bad gaffes down the stretch in that game, and the finals have been unbelievable. Probably the network wanted a split in the first 2 games, but it's been unbelievable to watch, and it's hard to believe the Knicks, who at no point during the regular season did anybody think was a serious championship winner. They thought they might be a contender, they could get to the finals. None of the people I listened to thought the Knicks were going to win the championship. And now they are on the verge of solidifying that with a win tonight.
And you believe more credit should be given to Mike Brown?
I absolutely.
Tell me why.
I think
quick.
Mike Brown. This is somebody who I think has been through the wars and has been around greatness. Right? He's coached LeBron. He's coached some of the best to ever play it. He was assistant on those Warriors teams with Steph and Clay and KD. He was 12-0. Remember, he was 12-0 as the head coach in the playoffs that one year before Kerr was able to come back. And now he's about to win a championship. He is right there. If they win tonight, they're going to win the championship.
Yeah, he's done a remarkable job. And I know that I'm pulling for San Antonio. And it wasn't even a nasty thing about the Knicks. A one-team town, that type of following. I ended up pulling for San Antonio here. I know it's a 2-0 series. I can't help it. I'd feel good for Mike Brown. I've never even met the guy, and I think I'd feel good for Mike Brown if they won a championship over there in New York. Considering what he's been through, his name has been mud at times in this league.
Which is so funny.
Being a
all
guy
he's ever done is win.
Yes, and it's been, you rode the coattails of LeBron. You rode the coattails of Steve Kerr. You can't. Jalen Brunson's a fine player. You cannot sit there and say he rode anybody's coattails on this one. This would be incredible. 216-474-0092. All right, 40 minutes away. Daryl's going to join us on the show. I want to see if he agrees with me on the whole Brendan Sorsby thing, or if I'm just trying to hold back because I don't want them to make a big mistake. And a piece of Cavs memorabilia your daughter may want. It's in Lima Lakes in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Anthony Lima.
the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Does Lima like?
Or does Lima no like?
Like?
Tell me likey.
I'm liking it.
I like it a lot.
No like.
He doesn't like you.
I don't like you either.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Like or no like. No like or no like.
But I definitely knew what I liked, and I definitely knew what I didn't like.
All right, typically you go 3-3 on a road trip. You're feeling good.
Not bad.
But yesterday,
Lima no like.
Yeah, not good, unfortunately. See, I thought Friday they blew their chance.
I was way more upset about Friday than I was yesterday.
Yeah, well,
It
definitely.
happens. What are you going to do?
But I do wonder, we are the only team in Major League Baseball that has had their 5 rotational guys be their 5 guys throughout the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And that has served us very well. You're in first place in the division. But is there any nervousness, Kenny,
Lima no like,
when it comes down to the clear weak link at this point with Cantillo, especially the last 3 starts, giving up 5 home runs total, and
a little bit.
It's been rough. Earned runs, he has given up 15 in the last 3 starts.
Every pitcher goes through their ebbs and flows and their dead arm periods. He's going to have to find a way to battle out of it. I think I don't know if he'll be okay. What's okay to Joey Cantillo? It's not like it's okay to Parker Messick already or Gavin Williams or some of the greats that we've had in past. Yes.
What's okay about Joey Cantillo? To Stephen Vogt. He answered.
I just think it's that. I think it's been 3 pretty shaky starts in a row. We got to get to work. Joey's a hard worker. I know he's going to dive in with the pitching group, and we're going to try and find some answers. But we see it in him. We just have to help Joey find that consistency, because when he's consistent, we've seen what he can do. Gives us a chance to win more often than not. So, I think it's just that.
Yeah, not
still pretty.
We're not in panic mode or anything like that. But you know how we were talking about the closer role early in the season, and cooler heads were able to prevail.
Thank goodness.
When it came to that. How many more starts like this are you going to be okay with until we start to ask questions?
I don't think anybody's okay with this start, but until at least one more, because I don't think they have a lot of options other than him.
Logan Allen, you going back to that well?
I really haven't been big on any of the Logan Allens who played here.
Consider him just still back in the pen, and that'd be fine with me. I mean, some of the guys, like you look at Hunter Gaddis, he's obviously been much better in the bullpen than he was as a starter. Maybe you could call somebody else up, but let's see if we can work it out with Joey Cantillo first before we go losing our minds over here.
I always feel like, hey, we've got Corey Kluber around the organization for a reason. If you ever need one game,
that's a good point. And
bring him out.
And
him out there.
It's still where you got to look at the end results. Yes, it was 10-0. Yes, I know he got belted around, but it's still a 3-3 road trip. It's where you want to be on a road trip. You come back home. I know you got the Yankees. They're without Aaron Judge. They'll be without Aaron Judge until mid-August, it seems to be. You'll be or could be out until mid-August. They're without Aaron Judge. You got yourself a puncher's chance just with anybody. You got yourself a big week coming up here. I mean, could Tarek Skubal pitch on Friday?
Yeah, they're saying that he actually might be able.
Can we make a bigger deal about this? I know it's your segment. How do you go from having your elbow scoped for loose bodies, one rehab start, and then apparently he might pitch against us coming up on Friday? I mean, holy Lord Almighty!
Well, they're 9.5 games back too. Like, the level of urgency seems insane. Although we were 15 games back in July,
unless
right?
they've given up and they're just trying to showcase him for a move. Unless they're just, wouldn't you just? But I don't agree with that. I think that's more of a basketball thing, because I think Tarek Skubal's Tarek Skubal. You go, hey, look at his history. I don't need to trot him back out there unless you think that you're going to get that much bigger of a haul, and maybe this is possible. I'd have to check with Latta and Meisel and a couple of guys. Maybe you think you're just going to get that much bigger of a haul if he were back and already showing his stuff before the trade deadline.
Yeah,
maybe it's even worth more. So. We'll see, but geez, it just seems to be so sudden.
I'm alive.
Well, I know it stinks because the Cavs are not in it, but the NBA Finals, you've admitted you went from saying it was a chore.
I was a chore to I sat down and I wanted to make sure I watched it the other night.
But
that's how good it was.
This Knicks story is clearly cascading into a bigger sports story in general, and that's considering that everybody can't stand the New York fans, but the story of the team is pretty amazing. And did you see the ratings from Game 1? We don't have Game 2 ratings officially yet, but it peaked at almost 20 million which is a huge number. It's double what the games were doing last year in the finals. And now, do we have to have emergency pods about the NBA now is back as the second biggest sport?
Maybe it should be. Maybe we should.
Overreacted so much. And I'll just say this, like, this isn't even blasting baseball. Baseball had an amazing World Series ratings the last 2 years. And now it just goes to show, like, whoever is in the finals or who is in the World Series, that kind of determines how we feel about the sport at the time.
Yes.
Because as much as we were condemning the sport of basketball all regular season, the playoffs have seen huge surges in ratings, some of the best in 25 years, and now the NBA Finals are going to have enormous ratings because of why? The Knicks.
Yes.
Just like because why?
Two of the
The
bigger fan
Dodgers
bases.
and the Yankees.
Dodgers have a great big fan base. The Yankees have a great big fan base. Yeah, part of that's going to happen with some of those sports.
So I just think we're overreacting. Like, none of it's football. When football happens, it doesn't matter who the teams are. It could be the small Jacksonville Jaguars could be playing the
Texans.
It doesn't matter.
Yep. Doesn't
like
matter.
it could be the smallest teams. It does not matter. But NBA, baseball, it does matter. You know what also matters?
I'm alive.
When you have historic individuals sitting in your seats, you know those seats are going to be very valuable. Now, we talked about MSG and the celebrity effect and the get-in prices there. Did you see Taylor Swift's seat allegedly
how
is
much are
up
we
for
up to
auction?
now?
$6,000.
$6,000 on auction for Taylor Swift's seat.
For her Game 3 seat at Rocket Arena.
Whew.
Courtside, the one where she was next to Travis Kelce and caused quite a stir right now. And I've reached out to the Cavs to try to get confirmation on whether we know this was really her seat. It looks...
Does it have a certificate of authenticity?
Authenticity?
Almost
So,
said authentication. I go, that's not right.
on the description on The Realist, which apparently is one of the sites where you would bid...
Like a Sotheby's.
For something like this, exactly. It does say it comes with their version of a certificate of authenticity. $6,000.
What is
We've
their
had
version of a
38
certificate of
bids.
authenticity?
I'm looking at, they describe it as this item, Gold OVD, as a true test, trademarked, authenticator, was on site to witness its use during the Eastern Conference Finals Game 3 at Rocket Arena. Condition may vary slightly from photos with unique signs of use that reflect its role during a historic playoff game.
Unique signs of that she sat in it?
That she sat in it. Did they match the indentation of the seat with other seats she has sat in?
They used the truest authentication process.
Yes.
I didn't make that up.
She sign it? It's not signed?
What I want to know is, like, are the Cavs participating
Should
in
I
this?
just take one of these seats that are here and just say that, I mean, technically Travis Kelce sat in that spot right there in front of me. So should I just take that seat and say Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's husband, sat in this seat? Can I make a cool $1,000 on that chair?
Well, that's what I want to know. And were the Cavs complicit?
That couch, he did sit on that couch.
He sat on that couch, yeah.
Well, we know that for a fact.
A lot of things have been done on that couch.
Was that the couch that a fellow staffer forced us to have removal?
I'm not. I just want Keith to know that was not me. I did not put him up to it, and I will not be saying anything further on that matter.
But all I'm asking, did the Cavs, because this doesn't look like it's going to a charity, did somebody steal this seat? Is what I want to know ultimately.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a few thousand cameras in that place. I don't think you'd get away with it.
If it was my last day working at a place and there was a seat there, maybe that seat going home with me.
If it's stolen, you can't buy stolen property,
Right.
can you?
Right.
So that's received, then you're in trouble, aren't you?
So I've reached out to Cavs to see how they are potentially participating in this endeavor.
Did they get back to you on that yet?
And will the money go to them? I'm so curious. Or is there charity involved? I'm not really seeing any evidence of that on the website. But
$6,000
it
though.
For Lima Lake, $6,000.
Do we know anybody who would pay $6,000 for a seat that Taylor Swift sat in? Allegedly.
My wife said she cared more about Kylie Jenner being there than Taylor Swift, and my wife loves Taylor Swift.
Why did she care about Kylie Jenner being there?
She says she would be more starstruck seeing her than Taylor Swift.
Speaking of the Jenners, I saw Kim Kardashian during the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying on Saturday
as well, and she had the
headphones on. She was listening to the pits. Yep. It's thrown me off that they mixed up Monaco now. Because it used to be during Memorial Day weekend. You got Monaco at 9 a.m.
What are they thinking?
Yeah, then you got the Indy 500, then you got the Coke 600. Well, we have to have that Miami Grand Prix, so we can't have people going.
The 800 after that.
Just too much. Coming up in 20 minutes, the dangerous one, Daryl Ryder, going to join us on the show. Are we cleaning up the shop on these trades? Are we done? Are we still making more trades? And could the Browns really be going after Brendan Sorsby? That coming up with the dangerous one. And by the way, you thought we thought of some crazy Browns moves and that the Browns have made some crazy moves? Buddy, you ain't seen anything yet. We have some audio from a very special certain somebody that you have to hear. I promise you, it's going to be worth your time at 8:02 on The Fan. K&K Heating.
tomorrow in Berea. Listen to The Fan Rewind, weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
Guardians are still 2 games up in the Central, so you ain't got to freak out on that. Ain't nothing to worry. I know that Joey Cantillo's got to work through it. They'll get through it. Are you ready to get nuts? You and I argued about Brendan Sorsby earlier today. We got less than 20 minutes away from the dangerous one, Daryl Ryder. I asked him about Brendan Sorsby. That's fine. Now, we've been talking about trades. This show, to start the show or start the day, is it an official show stance to not trade Denzel Ward? Is that what it is?
I said I would wait until the deadline, see how desperate teams are, to see if maybe his value can go up.
Official show stance to not entertain a trade on Denzel Ward until the deadline is what you're saying.
I mean, unless somebody was like offering ridiculousness now,
unless they wanted to give up Sauce Gardner type stuff for him, then
which isn't happening.
Yeah, but it ain't happening. So I think that's a healthy way to look at things. He's a good guy, good player. I do think that his stock with Browns fans, because he's quiet. He's quiet. So he doesn't say a whole lot. He doesn't do a whole bunch. I mean, when he does stuff publicly, I'm talking about like commercials and things like that. Yeah, I know he has couple of local commercials and stuff, but it's not like he's this out and about figure all the time. So he kind of has gone on the back burner for a lot of Browns fans. Denzel has. For all those reasons I just stated. And then this last week, because Miles was traded, I think his stock rose. I think people looked at Denzel Ward and they thought, here's a guy I've never had to worry about. Here's a guy who he and his mother and his family, they do good works in the city. He's clearly, it looks like he's a guy who will put his roots down here after his career is done, no matter where that ends. He's never been a problem. There's never been, other than the injuries, which are things he can't help. He's never been a problem.
It's been awesome.
Can you think of an incident at all where we've questioned anything with Denzel Ward?
No.
Like the last time we questioned anything with Denzel Ward was probably the bowl game that he had to skip because he was getting ready for the draft. And there were questions about that. But that's water under the bridge a long time ago. So there's no more conversation about Denzel a whole lot until it actually were to happen. And if you can get a second-round pick back by the trade deadline, maybe you do it. But let's see where the Browns are first. But we got into a big argument about 2027 and whether or not you wanted to go after Brendan Sorsby for 2026, even though he would be a redshirt, or to go to one of those 2027 drafted quarterbacks. What if you do finish around 500 this year? What if you finish 8-9? You're right there in the thick of things. You've had a couple of different QBs. You're able to get some games going your way. You finish 8-9. But none of the QBs that you play, say it's probably Deshaun and Shedeur, give you any sort of big jump into next year. And you're at that part of you're in that part of the schedule and the part of the draft, I should say, that it's going to be hard to move up for one of those guys because you're looking at it. If it's a 6-man quarterback class, probably 5 of the top 6 picks are going to be for a quarterback. You might not want to move up. Can I offer you somebody different? Even though I know that there's different things that they can do. I get it. But we might as well have some fun. There is somebody out there who's not too thrilled with his contract situation, and he spoke about that over the weekend, and I think you're going to recognize the voice.
First and foremost, regardless, we've built roots here in Tampa. We love the community. We love being here. They've embraced us, and we enjoy being here. And obviously going to raise kids here, but contract stuff it's happening. It's starting the talks and whatnot, but not anywhere close to what we were thinking. So would love to be here long term, and as of right now, that's not exactly the case. But I'm under contract for 2026, and the guys in that locker room, the staff know that I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to do everything I can to help this team win a Super Bowl, and that's, to me, that's the priority. Everything else will take care of itself. Obviously, yes, I would love to have a long-term deal done, but they know my deadline is as soon as training camp starts. We're not doing any contract stuff. It's all ball. So it's not up to me when that gets done by. But so hopefully before that. If not, we're still gonna have a good year.
Well, let me tell you something. The odds of Baker Mayfield coming back are not good. But I have seen crazier things before. And I'm just pointing out, if Dan Gilbert, for LeBron, this is for LeBron, but Dan Gilbert, a guy who's an owner in professional sports, once he was able to allegedly, as the tale goes, put his hat in his hands and go talk to LeBron and get LeBron James back on this team. And I understand LeBron James is better at his sport than what Baker Mayfield is at his. That's not lost on me. I'm just using this as an example. When that owner was willing to do it, why wouldn't Jimmy Haslam be willing to do it? You can't tell me it's a 0% chance. You cannot tell me it's a 0% chance. It's not a good chance. It might not be 99%, but it's certainly better than 1% or 2% or 5% even, depending on how this season goes. I'm just asking. I'm just throwing it out there. Tone seems not interested at all in doing this.
Well, I'm looking up.
Would you be interested? Oh, you are? Okay. He is interested.
I'm looking up to see.
I beg your pardon.
Just where he is, and boy, he is so erratic year to year.
Yes, he is.
So that continued last year where he was basically, and you know how bad quarterback play, how all the numbers came back to the pack last year?
Mm-hmm.
He was anywhere from 19th to 26th in all the advanced metrics.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so 19th to 26th, like that's borderline whether or not you should even be starting. And yet he's looking for a huge contract. So this is so tough because we know when he's at his best,
he can be very good.
He can be really good and can be not only a serviceable starter, he can be better than.
But the issue is, didn't he play with an injury last year? Did he or did he not?
And that is part of the problem.
And what happens every time he has to play with an injury?
Oh, he goes south.
Because he gets
in a big way.
Because he gets desperate. He needs his whole body to throw. We know this. We know this very well. He needs his whole body to throw. He gets desperate. He makes desperate decisions. They don't go well for him. I don't want that to happen to him this year in Tampa Bay, obviously. But I'm just saying, if we're considering anybody out there, you have to be willing to consider everybody out there. Would you not, or would you not consider it?
I'd consider everybody. And Stefanski's gone, right? And we know how ugly that was towards the end when it came to Stefanski and him. So that's not even a factor. Part of it is.
Do you think he took Todd's side, or did he take Freddie's side in 2019?
God, it's funny to hear Todd talk about that entire era and what a disaster coaching-wise that was for everybody involved. But then part of you is like, well, internally, is he really saying that's really mostly on Freddie?
What did you think he liked? Well, I would say that internally at that time, he definitely disagreed with Freddie, so he would be putting it on Freddie naturally. Mm-hmm. But I'm asking, at that time, like, does Todd see him and goes, man, there's so much more we could have done with him and we weren't able to do it, and then it leads to all this?
Now the question is, that was how many years ago?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, because Baker's going to be going into, this is his 30, he's 31 years old this year.
In that season, that would have been 8 years ago, for crying out loud.
So even if Todd was like, I really liked Baker back then, this is so many years later, so much more wear and tear on Baker's body.
I can't believe this is not a complete non-starter to you, that you're actually entertaining the conversation.
And we've done segments on Brennan Sorsby who are wondering if he bet against his team.
Huh?
So I'm
glad you have an open mind to this, because I was ready to use that card against you.
Obviously, I am the most open-minded I think you could possibly be on this.
Now, I think you can do better in the draft and take one of those guys that we've talked about. I think Dante Moore is probably a better prospect right now than what you would have out of Baker Mayfield and having his career, right? Would you say the same about Arch Manning? Probably would say the same about Arch Manning. Would you say the same about a couple other guys? I mean, we can go to, maybe C.J. Carr is poised to have a big year this year coming up for Notre Dame. I'm just throwing some names out there. And you would be more excited because they're new and we're not going over all the old fights. But say you do turn in a 7-8 win year. You're right there in that thick middle. The teams that you want to move up with, man, they just want your whole draft for some of these guys, and maybe you're willing to do it. Maybe somebody's going, hey, I'll give you number 2 overall for Dante Moore, but you got to give me all this. Maybe that's a possibility. Or maybe you just think in a different world where, yes, I know that he can be tagged and all that other stuff, that in a different world, if they let him walk, they would just – could they get a compensatory pick or not for him? I don't know. I'm not sure if they can. I'm not sure of the rules. But if they let him walk, would you be interested? Hell, I guess apparently on the station over the weekend, somebody said that he'd end up with the Steelers, for crying out loud. They wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
imagine them in your division.
Well, that would be great for the rivalry. Are you kidding me? Especially considering some of the past history. And, I mean, he's the guy that went in there and kicked their ass in a playoff game.
It's amazing some of the texts I'm getting already on this. But, okay, regardless. Keith says it's asinine to think either side would be interested in a reunion in Cleveland. Zero chance. I think it'd be asinine. I think Baker Mayfield would like to be in a hell of a lot of other places other than here. You cannot tell me that Jimmy Haslam wouldn't be open to having him back.
Well,
you cannot tell me.
None of this is long term.
None of this is that realistic either. But you cannot tell a guy who has been willing to do all these things to try to find a quarterback. You cannot tell me if Baker Mayfield were to go out there and look pretty good and they just couldn't come together on a deal. You cannot tell me Jimmy Haslam wouldn't be interested.
I wouldn't be surprised if Baker is starting for 3 different teams in the next 3 years. Like I think that is.
Oh, geez.
That because again, the volatility of his play, his entire career, is I think mostly the trademark of Baker, which is unfortunate for a number 1 overall pick like that. That if I led that off, like you could see some people say, well, that's. Man, if you end up on 7 different teams in the course of your career, 8 different teams, that's a bust. Probably is a bust, but when he was at his best, he was definitely a guy that we were like, all right, yeah, worthy of a top end of the first round pick.
Listen, it's not very realistic. It's not the best idea. But it's far from the dumbest we've ever had about Browns quarterback, and you and I both know it, which is not a very high bar, I have to admit. Coming up in 5 minutes, the dangerous one, Darryl Ryder. Could we really be going after Brendan Sorsby, and are we closing up shop on these trades? Are we done dealing in Cleveland? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, the dangerous one in 5 on the Fan. Window Nation, right there.
15 straight postseason games, second longest streak in NBA playoff history. Get all latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Folks, mandatory minicamp starts this week. It's a big week for your Cleveland Browns, and it's a big week for the dangerous one, Daryl Ryder. Daryl, hello.
Hello, boys.
Daryl is brought to you by
Chive & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
It's wonderful to talk to you, Daryl. Daryl, you might have heard Baker Mayfield's snippet of audio over the weekend. Did you or did you not?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know, one, would you bring him back? But I guess I got to ask, I think we're getting texts from the boss right now, and I think he's absolutely crazy. Well, Ken, Jimmy said that he needed an adult in the room by the time it was done. I go, he also said that Deshaun Watson was a swing and a miss. Like, I don't think any of that matters. I don't. I think that if they feel that this is the best opportunity, they could just go, oh, it's just business and try to work something out. But real quick, your thoughts on Baker before we move into things that are actually realistic in 2026.
Yeah, I don't think the Browns would want him back.
Really?
No.
Of all the people they've been willing to take chances on, they're not going to take Baker back.
I think they had enough of the Baker Mayfield experience. That's why he's not here.
Now, was that the old Baker Mayfield experience? Because it seems
hasn't he matured?
It seems that Baker's a little different from the old Baker.
Oh, really? Did you heard the comments? Does that sound like a new Baker to you?
Well, wait a minute. You're talking about life-changing money. They're not. He's being honest. He said he wants to raise his kids in Tampa. That sounds a lot different from old Baker. But old Baker didn't have kids.
Okay. Guess you can't raise your kids on $40 million a year. The economy's pretty tough.
Okay, Latrell Sprewell. Relax over there.
I get it. I get it. He wants his market value, and the pay scale for quarterbacks is what the pay scale for quarterbacks is, even though I think it's insane, but
is what it is.
It is what it is. But yeah, I think that I don't think that the Browns enjoyed their first Baker Mayfield experience, and I don't know that they'd want to go down that path again. I think that's the way I'm going to put it, because it was not enjoyable for a lot of folks that tried to help him out while he was here and tried to help him mature. So
spicy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, these are the facts.
All right.
I mean, there's a reason Jimmy Haslam said what he did say about the adult in the room. Now, I get they went to Deshaun Watson, and that was ended up being pretty terrible in and of itself. But I just think that they had their fill of Baker. I did say I was in with Jeff Phelps on Friday, and I said that I thought Baker Mayfield going to the Pittsburgh Steelers would be delicious.
It really would be. Like, if you think about what between these two cities, it would really take like that. We always look at ways to escalate a rivalry.
It's not delicious, no.
Oh, for what we do for a living?
It would be scintillating. Twice a year.
Who's our quarterback?
It'd be great.
Who's our quarterback before we do this? We got to find our quarterback first. You can't just be hoping they get themselves a decent quarterback and we still don't have one.
That's not Sorsby? I thought for sure it was Sorsby.
Well, that's a great way to lead into the conversation. Go right on ahead there,
listen,
Tone.
I don't know that Baker Mayfield is elevating them beyond Aaron Rodgers anyway. That's why I'm not too worried about it. I'm just worried about it twice a year.
Oh, so you just
talking
don't think Baker's that good?
No, he doesn't.
No, I think Baker just has a ceiling on him. I think he'll help you win anywhere from 10 to 12 games a year. He'll get you into the playoffs. Maybe you win a playoff game or two. I just don't know that Baker Mayfield is the guy that's going to help you go out and win a Super Bowl. I feel like there's a ceiling with him. Now, granted, that is a hell of a lot better than what we're accustomed to dealing with here in Cleveland, but I just feel like there is a ceiling with him, and I don't see him being one of the all-time greats of the era. I don't see him being a top 5 quarterback in the league. I think his ceiling is anywhere from 15, maybe to 10 or 9, in that range, which, again, better than what we've had. But, yeah, I don't know that he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
All right, we saw the injunction not go the way that Brennan Sorsby would have wanted it to for going back to Texas Tech and making $5 million. So the supplemental draft could be the next step. What are your thoughts considering what is out there? There's a lot of speculation too, but what is actually provable right now with his gambling addiction, him going to rehab, and whether or not he should be on the Browns' radar?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with what Todd Monken said a week ago at the Browns Foundation golf outing. I think it's too risky, too much of a gamble, quite frankly. There's a lot to unpack with that, and the Browns, I just don't think that the Browns have the luxury of taking that kind of a chance. I really don't. And yeah, that's some PTSD from prior chances that the Browns have taken at that position, but I think we've had enough of that, okay? And can we just get somebody that doesn't have baggage here to do this? So I'm not interested. If I were the Browns, I would not be interested. I know when you're desperate, you do dumb, desperate things. And for me, I think Sorsby is, that just is just too much desperation. And nothing good comes from that.
Daryl, I think I agree with you for most of what you said there. Lima, you put me through my paces. Do it to Daryl.
Well, I just
Daryl answer the tough questions.
Let's say, because the Browns undoubtedly are doing their jobs just like every other team in the league. We know that they have their surplus of third and fourth round picks, whatever. What, they have 4 between those two that they could just throw in a bid and see, and then there's what's the risk there, right? Like if you end up getting a guy that could go top 5 according to some next year, if you get that person in the 3rd round this year, like holy cow, that's a coup, right? You don't think so?
Not if he's not available to you. Look, gambling. Look, you can do a lot of unsavory things in the National Football League as a player off the field, okay, and be allowed to play the sport. You can't gamble.
He's right.
Okay, that's the line. That's the bridge too far. Believe it or not, there is a bridge too far in sports when it comes to player off the field.
So you think
behavior.
This is by far worse? So you think this is worse than domestic violence? You think this is worse?
Now, don't be putting words in my mouth.
Well, I'm asking. Okay? That's why I'm asking the question. You get to put the words in your own mouth when I ask the question.
I'm just saying the NFL will look the other way with a lot of stuff, and they have looked the other way with a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the penalties for off-the-field behavior, including what you just asked about, they pale in comparison to penalties for gambling. That's the point I'm trying to make. They'll put up with a lot of stuff off the field when it comes to players, and they have over the years. The one thing you can't do is gamble. That is the line too far. As sad as that is, that is the truth.
I mean, it's the one thing that we can think of that you can get banned for life. I mean, good God, we're talking about Henry Ruggs getting parole.
Oh, guys have been accused of murder and the Hall of Famers.
That's what I'm pointing out, though. But that's what Daryl's saying. Like, Daryl personally, obviously, ain't going to think that that's. I thought the question was a little sideways, to be honest with you. But fine, you want to put it through the paces, I told him to. But what Daryl's bringing up is that you look at what the NFL has been willing to not look the other way for, but get past with some of their guys. Gambling in professional sports ain't it. So if, say he does arrive to me and say, we've decided to give up a 2nd-round pick for Brendan Sorsby. How long is he going to be suspended? All right, if he's suspended but he's still around to be in the building, that's fine. Okay, great. So if he's still around to be in the building, that's going to be great. And then he plays for a little bit, and then they find out that he gambled again. Well, what the hell is going to happen if they find out he gambled again after the 2027 draft? Then we're in a hell of a lot of trouble now, aren't we, Tone? It's just not like Daryl.
So you don't think there's any coming back from gambling? You think this is a sickness that is the one sickness you can't overcome? We have rehab for everything, but this is the one thing you can't come back from.
Obviously, I think you can overcome it, but I just think it's too much of a risk. But I'm not the one we're supposed to be interviewing here, and I apologize. Daryl, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
This is here's the thing, right? He says that he got treatment for an addiction, right? Mm-hmm. And everywhere you look around NFL stadiums and NFL properties and NFL broadcasts, there's gambling ads everywhere now. It's in his face. So I think that's tough for any human being. There is the human element, and when you're talking about addiction, that's a serious thing. Okay, but look what the NFL did to Josh Gordon back in the day. With his substance abuse and addiction, right? And the penalty that he paid for that, okay? And so I think it's just way too risky of a move for a team like the Browns. Had they not gone through what they have gone through at that particular position, ranging anywhere from Johnny Manziel, right, to Deshaun Watson, I'd be a little more open-minded to it and be like, yeah, sure, why not? It's a flyer. If it doesn't work out, no big deal. And if you're talking like a late-round pick, Anthony, all right, I might be a little more willing to listen to it. But when you're talking about a second or a third-round pick, no, because those are assets that Andrew Berry is going to need to be able to do what he wants to do next April, and that's move up in the draft to get one of these quarterbacks that are coming out that are just as talented and also don't carry that type of baggage off the field.
Daryl, listen, I'm genuine. Ken says put people through the paces when I question.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a lot more of Brendan Sorsby's over time because this generation has quite literally grown up with it on their phones.
Yeah, I mean, I do acknowledge we live in a different world. And there is, I think, something a little hypocritical when it comes to these leagues bringing in all the gambling revenue, right? But which, by the way, has helped elevate player salaries because that's fresh money, fresh revenue for them. But also at the same time, the players are prohibited from participating in any way, shape, or form in some sports. Some sports, it's just, hey, you can't bet on the league. I'm old enough to remember when the National Football League wouldn't even acknowledge fantasy football. Okay,
true. He's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
and now here we are. It's the National Football League, brought to you by insert your gambling company name here, right? Or this particular feature is brought to you by this particular gambling company here, right? They have completely embraced it, but I just again with what he's what he's been accused of, what he's gone to therapy for. I just think it's way too risky.
Is there any chance Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders can separate themselves as the starter this week?
It would be nice if one of them would, right?
That'd be something. It'd be great.
Yeah, it would. But and I've talked about this a lot on my show, on other shows. That it's been consistently inconsistent. You go back and listen to what Todd Monken had to say last week when he was talking about, hey, my opinion changes by the day. And I think that's just because one day Deshaun has the good day. The next day it's Shedeur that has the good day. And then back to Deshaun, back to Shedeur. Maybe they put back-to-back days together. But then you're going back and forth. And I just think that's a byproduct of the inconsistency. And look, we're only out there for one of the three practices. Now this week will be for all three, Tuesday through Thursday. But during OTAs, we're seeing one of the three practices each week. So we don't know what's going on the Tuesday or on the Thursday as far as what the coaches are seeing and whatnot. But it has been inconsistent with what we've seen. We've seen good stuff from Shedeur. We've seen not so good stuff from Shedeur. Same thing with Deshaun. So neither one of these guys has been able to separate themselves. And I think that's what Todd Monken's ultimately looking for. He's looking for some consistency, and he's just not gotten that from either one of these guys. Now, he can stand up there and say he's got two starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm going to disagree with him because I think if you say you got two, you got none. Yes, you have two guys who have started games in the National Football League, but right now they're just wildly inconsistent when you're talking about this time of year where there's very minimal defensive pressure. You're not really under siege. You're not going to be hit, whatever. You're doing some installs and things like that, but this is supposed to be the easy time of the year, right? I mean, for a quarterback, this is the fun time of year where all the passes should be completed relatively easy, but that's not been the case for either one of these guys. But I do think that's exactly what Todd Monken's looking for. He wants somebody to take the reins in this mini camp so that he can move forward in training camp with the number one guy. I just fear that we're going to go into training camp with another one of these dreaded quarterback competitions.
Daryl, I got 30 seconds. Do you think it's been more that Deshaun Watson hasn't elevated himself throughout this process, or is Shedeur elevating himself so much that it's becoming a question now that Shedeur could possibly be the number one quarterback heading into the actual season?
I'm not dodging that, Ken. I think it's both. I think it's a combination of both. Shedeur's better than he was last year, right? And he's actually getting reps in practice instead of throwing to the ball boys like we saw last year. And then also, too, Deshaun, who's still recovering, shaking off the rust, all those things. He does look physically healthy. He's got that going for him. But there just have been a few moments where you're like, yep, that's the Deshaun Watson that we saw coming off the suspension, coming off the shoulder injury, starting the 2024 season.
Daryl, thank you very much for the time. Blessings to you and yours.
You bet, guys. Have a good one.
The great Daryl Ryder. Brought to you by
Shibe & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
What's the takeaway you had from that?
Well, obviously, aside from the Sorsby stuff, he says absolutely not on Baker Mayfield. That door is closed.
Well, it's also that maybe we shouldn't be calling it a comeback. Maybe it's something that's naturally going to happen with a guy who everybody thought was the number 2 quarterback on this depth chart. He might be taken over as the number 1 by the time the season starts, and why it's so important for Todd Monken. That's in 5 minutes on The Fan.
to you by Expert Renovations, expertrenovations.llc.com. Your mornings are about to change with 92.3 The Fan. We're going local at 5 a.m. It's the Fan Warm-Up Show with Jeff Thomas. All the latest from the night before in Cleveland sports and getting your day started even earlier. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Back on the Fan. Well, you feeling better that we have a neck-and-neck race?
Yeah.
Is it neck and neck?
That's what I want to know.
Makes me feel better. Makes me feel, even though, gosh, poor Todd Monken is almost, if he doesn't knock it out of the park with the quarterback to start things off, like it is what, like you can have decent quarterback play and still have a rough football team. Like, does anybody, people might be saying that Joe Burrow isn't God's gift to the position now, but nobody's saying Joe Burrow's bad. Nobody's saying that. So you can have lackluster results and still pretty good quarterback play, And so this is a team that has some young talent. Certainly they have some young talent. I heard what Coach Lance has said. I think that's a football coach who wants to win now. And you always want to win now, so there might be a little bit. I love Coach Lance, but there might be a little bit of moving the goalposts there when it comes to that stuff. But either way, you still got good young talent on that football team, and you might still have decent quarterback play, but you might not win it because they're so young. And they might make mistakes where you got a new head coach, and they might make mistakes at critical times. That put out there, when you have this type of football team, if I got a neck-and-neck race, I guess it makes me feel better. But, man, if you get it wrong at the beginning of the year and then the new guy goes in there, it just makes Todd Monken look bad. Like if you pick Deshaun Watson sucks, and you put Shedeur out there, and he ends up playing decent, it's going to go against Todd Monken. If you put Shedeur out there and he looks completely lost and sucks up the room, and you put Deshaun Watson out there and he looks like he knows what he's doing and he can make all the calls and do all the things, and they look like they're a pretty decent football team, it's going to go against Todd Monken because he's going to want to win. Now, not as much because there's a lot of people who just still want to see Shedeur Sanders, but it's still going to go against him. Like, this is a very critical point for Todd Monken here as this heats up, because you got mini camp this week, and then that's it until July, until we get going in training camp, and we got to go, we got to move, and we got to be ready for the season. So I'm glad that it's not as cut and dry as we were hearing before. I'm glad it's that way, but at the same time, that can add in some more problems and more likelihoods for mistake. But that's part of the job. You can't just sit there and be afraid to walk through the minefield all the time. I got to do it.
Yeah, I was hoping for somebody to, and there's so very little to
raise up and show that they can't be denied the job.
Yes.
I don't know if you're going to be able to do that in T-shirts and shorts.
I know.
Because I guarantee Todd Monken's thinking the same thing we all were. Like, it's got to be playing into the back of his head going, yeah, he's a veteran. He should look better, but we're in T-shirts and shorts. They all look great.
The amount of interceptions both these dudes are throwing are pretty incredible.
So, and honestly, the tie goes to Shedeur if they're both throwing picks.
Yeah,
does it not?
I know there's 7-on-7 picks that they'll say, well, don't ever throw the ball away. In 7-on-7, you've got to. There are other purposes of these drills. But still, to see the one that Watson threw at the end of last week, I'm glad you brought it up. How is this even possible?
I'm glad you brought it up. Like, there's certain picks that I've seen, and they've been bouncing off of people's hands and things like that. And then there's certain picks that you see, and it's like, that was the wrong read. Well, not a lot of people. This is why I think that the whole completions and incompletions and touchdowns and picks thing during camp is pretty asinine, but whatever. We're going to continue to use it until Kingdom Come, even though it's silly. We don't know the situation. Only Todd knows the coaches know the situation, and they do. So if it was truly the wrong read and truly a mistake like that, that goes into consideration. But I do think it's playing a little bit with Todd Monken's psyche where, yeah, you look good in T-shirts and shorts. He's always looked good in that part of training camp. He's with the exception of a couple years ago where everybody said his arm was great with the exception of Zach. Zach was the only one, Tone, who was telling us that his arm wasn't that great. But this time around, it's all right, let's see if Shedeur has a chance to take over this job. I get more excited if Shedeur has a chance to take over the job because I think it's way more fun talking about Shedeur than it is the other guy. If I don't think the team's going to do that incredibly well this year. So I'm rooting for Shedeur to win the job.
Now, I still said I think what would actually be more ideal for Shedeur, ironically, would be starting the season off the bench, watching Watson most likely fail, and then coming in while the offensive line has a chance to gel. brand new offensive line, and those weapons they're rookies on week 1. But in the NFL, when guys are good, like that rookie label gets shed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then by like week 5, it's like, oh yeah, no, they're good. Like this kid's good. This guy knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
And so that's why I thought, ironically, as heated as this is between fans, media, and maybe the players, maybe coming off the bench and allowing things. It's not like last year where Shedeur started as the 4th-stringer. And yeah, then they got rid of I can't even remember his name. They got rid of
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett. And so
then
now
Joe got banged up.
So now he's the 3rd, and he's not really preparing.
Replaced, I should say.
Third, you could say, hey, you should always be preparing to start. But the reality is, if you're 3rd string, you're not preparing to start. You're mentally not. You can't.
Well,
possibly
what if you're 4th string? What are you preparing to do?
Right.
So that makes
prepare to say goodbye to Kenny Pickett.
That makes it even more difficult there. I think Dylan Gabriel's probably going to find out what that's like at some point here this year. I hate to say it. All right, 216-474-0092. So, but does it make people feel better that there's a neck-and-neck race? Because if you just think that both guys are bad, there's nothing I can do for you.
Well, if you think both guys are bad and they're neck and neck, then you're thinking about next year's class or Brendan Sorsby.
Because I think there's two different. Well, there's two different things. You can look to next year's class or Brendan Sorsby, or you think that both are terrible. That's it. There's two sides to that, and I think the other side of it is that you do think that maybe one of these guys can be gold for you, and you can possibly get something out of these guys. I would think this way. With the move that they just made, I know that they got Verse back. It does tell me that they don't think that they have very much in the position, because if they did, they'd just hold on to who they have. They didn't do that, because you don't get worse and still try to get better. That's not how that's going to go. So you're still worse than where you were. No disrespect to Jared Verse. You're still a worse football team then. But if you had him playing, it just comes down to who do you like talking about more? Do you like talking about Deshaun Watson more? Or do you like talking about Shedeur Sanders more? And I know a lot of people just tap out and go, hey, man, I just want to win. I just want to win. All right, well, I can't guarantee the greatest chance with either quarterback.
Yeah, you want to talk about a guy that
so
you
who
think.
Do I like more? Who do I like to personally talk about more as a Browns fan?
You want to talk about a youngster that you think can be here, 5 years from now. And right now, I think if you were to poll the audience and Browns fans, they would probably be thinking that guy is not on the roster right now.
No, you are probably right about that. 216-474-0092. Well, does it you don't make you feel any better that it's a neck and neck race? I feel better than I did last week. I'll tell you that.
A little better.
I want the opportunity.
When they had as bad of a practice, I know that Shedeur had to pass to Bond, but anybody that was there was like, this is as bad as it's been for the offense. That doesn't make me feel better.
Yes, it doesn't make me feel that much better either. 216-474-0092. Do you feel better, or how does it make you feel that we have a neck-and-neck QB battle? And I want to get into something that we heard from ESPN and NFL Network just a little bit ago, talking about the Browns QB battle, because I think it's going to change the way you may think about this year and who gets that job. Also at 9:22, tonight may make you feel different about what direction the Cavs need to go into. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, everybody, Anthony Lima.
headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's Sports Desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Don't call it a comeback just yet. Cameron Wolfe, NFL Network. He was on over the weekend, says things are tightening up here in Cleveland when it comes to that QB race.
Actually pretty wide open. I know there was a lot of early conversations that, hey, this is Deshaun Watson's job to lose. From what I understand, Shedeur Sanders has had a really strong last few weeks of OTAs. I've talked to people with the Browns who said that Shedeur has really impressed them. He's progressing really well. A little bit deeper into that. What does that mean? The biggest thing is they've seen him grow as he progresses down the field as a quarterback. Sometimes he holds on the ball too long. Talking to people there who really have an impact on this decision, they have seen him grow in his processing. And I also heard there's something about him. Aura is a good word, is what I was told there. And so look, do not count out Shedeur Sanders in this race. And I also thought it was interesting. Todd Monken said early on in the offseason he would love to have a decision before training camp. Sounds like that may be pushed back. And I think that's because of Shedeur Sanders' work there. Deshaun Watson's also practiced well. But I thought one example of how close this race is, Deshaun Watson led a lot of the first team offense in OTAs on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it was Shedeur Sanders leading a lot of the first team offense. And Todd Monken has said that, look, one day I go this way, one day I go the other way. I've known Todd Monken for a while. If he says something, he's blunt and direct. He is not going to give you any crap. This job is open, and Shedeur Sanders has a real chance to win it with a strong training camp. Could be one that we watch and see, and maybe one of these guys can convince the Browns not to use a first-round pick on a quarterback in 2027.
Well, that might be a little bit more than what a lot of people thought it was going to be when it comes to 2027. We'll wait about that, but let's go for the right now here. As this week starts the mini camp, the mandatory mini camp that they have to be their last chance to get out there on the field before we get ready to go for certain next year and get ready for a 2026 season. This might be the biggest week of Shedeur Sanders' career as we get ready for this, because I think after this week, Todd Monken's going to go into training camp with a very strong idea that either A, Deshaun Watson is his quarterback, or B, we really need to give this young man a look here, because everything we've heard has been Watson, 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 Watson the whole way through. I got annoyed by it. Anybody else who didn't want to really see Deshaun Watson out there got annoyed by it. But I'm hearing about how much better he's getting. And then when Cameron Wolfe mentions the aura thing, again, audio courtesy NFL Network, ESPN, when you get that saying, the aura, what does the aura mean? Can I throw something by you?
Yeah.
Do you think maybe some of these young players feel the same way as some of the old fans? Where it's like, man, like, you saw the way they reacted to the trade last week. Not a lot of them seem to be brokenhearted about that trade. Is it kind of that representation? I'm just asking a question here, guys. Is it kind of that representation that, that's kind of old Browns. That's a disappointing era. We had some great players. They didn't win. I wasn't here. I was in high school. I was in college. And do you think maybe Watson, I know everybody just wants to win, so maybe this doesn't hold up a bunch of water. But do you think that they kind of go, it's all I've been hearing about you is negative things. You've been here 5 years. I mean, if you're Carson Schlesinger, you were in college, starting college when he first got there. Now you got these new guys, and all I've heard about you is negative things in Cleveland. You could do a lot to change your opinion of people when you meet them up front and personal. I'm not denying that, but I don't know. Maybe he's a representation of the way things used to be, and they kind of want to get a fresh start in their own way, just like what the fans do.
So you're saying that they would advocate for one quarterback over the other?
No, not that. No, when you mention the aura, there's definitely guys who people are more excited to play with than others when it comes to the quarterback position, and I wonder if that might be the case with some of these guys.
Well, I just want to be
maybe I'm totally full of it. I'm just asking you a question.
I do want to be careful because I do remember people talking aura with Johnny Football, and some of the young players they had on the team were like excited.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because
That's a good
Johnny
point.
was box office. Like Johnny was a Heisman Trophy winner, and he had commanded Saturdays on a big scale against some of the best competition. So I want to be careful of that because young players in all these leagues, they can be easily persuadable. Like they can fall for the same traps that emotional fans do. So, we'll see over time. Like if I'm still hearing aura and that stuff come training camp, like actual training camp and not shorts and shirt season, then that could start to mean something.
So are you more open-minded because of all of this now? I mean, you seem to want did you want Shedeur to start the season as starting QB?
Yeah, I mean we've
I know
talked
a lot
about
of people
that a lot.
accuse you not to be, but I just want to make sure for the new people that they know.
I think it's always made more sense. What I was worried about was when anybody who had a chance to get their either the people that have been there in Berea or the people that obviously they're members of the front office or coaching staff that talk to some of those national reporters, they were all saying the same thing, like it's probably going to be Deshaun Watson, which was telling me that Shedeur was way behind the 8 ball in all the stuff that Todd Monken wanted to see. Has he made up some ground? Has Deshaun gone backwards?
Well, I
don't know those things. I have no idea. It's hard to get a definitive answer on that stuff.
Well, if it was you, like let's do it with you. Like if it were close, doesn't the tie go to Shedeur instead of? Okay, yeah. So because I think the other guy will actively be. I mean, unless he goes out there for the first 2 weeks and throws 4 touchdowns each, and the Browns come home at 2-0, then I think that's going to change.
Yeah, fans are fickle; they'll change.
But I think that one guy automatically gets either jeered or booed. The other guy, I know a lot of people are annoyed with people who attack them on social media over the fandom. But I think a guy going to the Browns game with his kids and his family and all that other stuff, they're going to the game. They want to see him win, but I think they'd like to see Shedeur go out there. I think that they'd rather root for Shedeur. So I think it's good news for a lot of fans out there that if this is heating up. Now it can end up being bad news if we just find out that Todd Monken's wishy-washy and doesn't know what he's doing, but we won't know that until after training camp. So I feel a lot better about this. 216-474-0092. Do you not feel, does it just make you feel worse then, or that it's close between two quarterbacks that might not have a future here?
You made a point that would be hard to surge forward for either of these guys at this level, but that is what I wanted to see. I did want to hear that. Like, I wanted to hear more of stories like that from that Cameron Wolf. Like, I wanted to hear that across the board. Like, oh, it's almost becoming undeniable. One guy is going to be so far, because it's not, let's be honest, it's not like we're dealing with a quarterback competition from a position of strength.
I know I'm asking you a lot of questions.
We're talking about Deshaun, who was, during his time with the Browns, one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And we're dealing with a 5th-round pick who last year statistically was one of the worst rookies in the NFL that we've had in many years. So if I'm hearing they're close today, that probably spells doom for that quarterback room, if we're being honest.
Because I'm thinking if they're close today, it spells doom?
It's not the separation that you're hoping for, that one person would clearly be demonstrating that there's an upward trajectory.
Okay, for the entire room, then I can see it. Because I want them to have, I'm kind of making this a deposition of you, and I'm not trying to do so. I want to have a clear indicator as soon as I can. And I thought that Todd Monken wanted to, and I was excited about that. And I know that some people, like Daniel Yafusa, he disagreed. He thought that he should have kept an open mind going into training camp. Mm-hmm. I think you're being forced to keep an open mind going into training camp, which probably, as you say, does not bode well for the quarterback room altogether. Because you would want your veteran who's been there for a decade, who's been in the NFL for a decade, to take the reins of that job, even considering the injuries, to be able to check everything down and do everything else there. If it's clicking with Shedeur, that's fine. But I just want to make sure it is an open mind to anybody, seeing as we have a new head coach who's an offensive mind. Like, are we open-minded to everybody, or are we just being open-minded to Shedeur? Because I don't want it to just be – because you know what this turns into. Handing jobs over to guys that people think are just going to get clicks during a bad year. That's not what I'm trying to do. If Shedeur wins it, I want Shedeur to win the job. Everybody and their brother knows I want him to win the job, but I want him to do it the right way. Because if it doesn't add up, then I'm willing to accept that, and I'm willing to move on to 2027. I'm more than willing to do so. Like, I'm not going to sit here and break my neck to try to find and look for different ways to not make it Shedeur Sanders' fault if things don't go well this year. Okay, there was some time, I'll admit, I did a little bit of that last year. Full on admit. I get emotional. I got wrapped up in it. That's what happens every now and then. This year, you got a new head coach. I got technically another year with Deshaun Watson, whether you want to or not. I got another year with Shedeur Sanders. I don't have much time with Dylan Gabriel. He's not even a conversation. If it were truly an open conversation, would he be in it? Maybe, maybe not. I think a lot of us just look at that as a third-round mistake, and it'd be better off for everybody if we all moved on from each other, and hopefully that happens before the season. Because I remarked to somebody on the internet, I don't like it that I naturally arrive to negative things, kind of almost mean-spirited things when it comes to Dillon Gabriel. But with the other two guys, all right, I got these other two fellas, and if I can get the young one to play well, well, then I have myself a conversation. If I got the older one to play well, I got a not-so-great conversation to come around because I don't know how long I can trust that guy.
I just wonder if, in general, like the Miles part of this enters the discussion, that once they traded Miles, a lot of fans thought, well, it's pretty clear that they don't believe in anything.
I think a lot of fans do,
in this building. So what's the point?
Because they still have to go through a season. So if we're going to go through a season, we might as well kick the tires. Like, more than likely, Brendan Sorsby isn't going to end up with the Cleveland Browns. We still have to have that conversation. It's still a possibility. So it's still a possibility no matter what. It's still a possibility for Deshaun Watson to get his nose up on his career and come back and do better. I still wouldn't trust him because of the injuries. I still wouldn't trust him because there has been up and down, mostly because of the injuries. When it comes to Shedeur, would I get to the end of the year and still fully trust Shedeur if he played the entire year, didn't look bad, and we ended up with 6 wins? No. I don't know what they have to do. Either one of these guys have to do during the year to make me smack a gavel down on the table and go, that's it. This is the guy. Let me get out the 2027 list and let me set it right on fire right now. I don't know what either guy can do, but I'm trying to go in with as an open mind as possible. Yeah. Todd Monken, in his veteran status, gives me as much of an open mind as I can about Deshaun Watson. Obviously, with Shedeur Sanders, it feels a little bit different with how my history has gone personally.
It's also interesting. I know Zach Jackson had made note of the fact that they were mixing in these zone reads and some other design quarterback run stuff, and he's like, you wouldn't be doing that most likely if Shedeur was the thought that he was going to be a starter. Not that he's not mobile, but he's not been what Deshaun Watson once was. We don't know what Deshaun Watson even is today after all the injuries and the surgeries, but you would think that that's an offense more tailored for Watson than it would be Shedeur.
I do feel better about it, though, personally. Coming up in 5 minutes, tonight may make you feel different about the future direction of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're already setting up their lawn chairs along the railroad tracks. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan.
If you're looking for new cabinets, the only
and the 95 Rockets, who both would win titles. Knicks have also won 13 straight postseason games, the second longest streak in NBA playoff history. Listen to the Fan Rewind, weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows, and can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
They're setting up the lawn chairs, Tone. Now, when you leave here today, you set up a lawn chair at the end of the road? What are you going to do?
Normally, when
family going to get together?
Ken brings up the lawn chairs, I'm thinking about something else.
Never outside.
Yeah, normally it's inside. Sometimes.
Oh no, that's a chair in the. No, that's not that type of situation.
Yeah.
You're
But
talking
now you
command centers and whatnot.
get your lawn chairs and your steam whistle.
If it's a key party, you are in there and you are participating.
That mean like
the other situation.
Swap.
Like that's all part of the whole act of it is that you're supposed to sit there and not be able to do anything about it.
Everybody
that's
up
part
and
of
rotate.
The thing.
Yes.
Just watching it go on is supposed to be the thing that you're not doing anything about. If you jump in, then it's just a three-way.
So if you're getting your lawn chairs ready now, I mean, this thing is coming through most of our listening area until after 11:30.
So I got to tell everybody exactly what it is. Big Boy number 4014.
Big Boy.
The biggest steam locomotive in the world. The biggest of big boys is coming through to your town. If you're in Avon Lake and Bay Village, and I think Euclid and a couple other
Rocky,
places.
every West Side town that's hitting you.
All you places right there, they are coming through. Now, it says it's supposed to arrive. It departed 20 minutes ago from Bellevue.
Yeah. That's it.
It's supposed to hit Lorraine at 11:15, so she's still going.
So it's a little behind schedule.
A little bit behind.
Means I get a little extra drinky poo.
And then it's supposed to arrive. It's supposed to stop. It's only supposed to be there for 15 minutes. It's only supposed to stop for 15 minutes in Lorraine.
It's a look, don't touch event.
Yes. And then in Euclid, it stops for a half an hour. And
so
then
you
it
can
leaves
get up,
it to
admire it, and then it gets on the move again.
And then it's going up to Conneaut. So this is a big this is people's Super Bowl here, man. This is a big deal for train enthusiasts.
It is pulling into Philly on July 4th. That's where that's like.
Oh, because of America 250.
Yeah.
That's right. What would the late, great Patrick Swayze think? He was a train enthusiast. 216-474-0092.
I just know that it's essentially, I showed you the flyer. We have a block party going on our street, and then for 30 seconds, that's basically what you will get to see.
And then
the
everybody's
duration
going
of this.
home?
And then the party shouldn't just stop just because it goes through. Now, I hope people aren't
You
having
should get
like
hammered.
Well, get hammered, but then, hey, we got to follow the train. I hope they don't have that idea.
I'm going immediately from here to the establishment that is hosting a party.
Well, so you're into this. Owen is definitely into
I'm
this.
into any occasion where we can go, it's 11 on a Monday, let's have one.
And I get to drag other people into what I normally do.
Well, I mean, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with watching a train go by? Literally watching the trains go by. There's worse things you can do.
This place has a patio that is on that train track.
Now, they do ask you, because Owen brought it up to me that apparently somebody like kind of went out there on the tracks and the conductor of the train was none too happy.
He was giving him the business.
Apparently cussing a guy out because he got too close. So you were supposed to stay back.
That means get away from the track.
Yes.
Dummy.
You've heard that noise before. Stay back at least 25 feet from all railroad tracks. That includes your drones. Who knows what that steam's going to do to it? Those drones are expensive.
Oh, yeah. They'll quickly vanquish.
Stay 25 feet away. It says railroad tracks, trestles, yards, and right-of-way are private property. Do not trespass. Always assume that tracks are never assume that tracks are abandoned or inactive. Always expect a train.
And what should give it away? I don't know. The very loud noise.
The chugga, 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 chugga.
And
if you're up there,
billows of steam.
And Stand By Me, you find yourself in a tough spot. Pretty sticky wicket right there. Be safe and considerate. As a driver, do not pace the train. So you're not supposed to really follow around the train.
All right, let's ask this question, though. Everybody's going to have their phone out. Yeah. Do you want to capture this through your phone, or do you want to see it with your eyes? Or are you one of those that can actually put the camera out and look through your eyes? Like, not have to look through your phone?
I have,
You perfected that.
As a wrestling dad, I've become a master of don't watch it through your screen.
Yeah.
Hold it tight to your body and move. Every movement is shoulders move with
Interesting.
Neck. No neck movement.
We're a real photojournalist here.
No, he's a real one over there. He knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Sometimes I do get a little too excited and you just see the ceiling for about 4 seconds.
Do you feel that? So are you just going to see the sky for 4 seconds when the big boy comes through? Because that's the whole point of having the camera.
If the big boy keeps running late, this big boy might have an extra 2 or 3 in me.
Now, I will tell people that it is supposed to be coming back through town on Monday, July 13th.
So it's like when Bob Barker would do the hole-in-one and then come over and flip it again for the people that miss, and it would say, or 2, you get a second chance if you miss this.
I'm going to the one on Sunday, July 12th in Struthers. That's the one I'm going to. So that'll be fun.
Does this take
Got
some
that
of
going
it?
For us.
Is some of it the sheen taken away that there's a second opportunity? Doesn't create like.
But then it's not going to be another opportunity until what? America turns 300?
500. You have to wait 250 years.
Well, it just stays in one place until for 50 more years?
I mean, I think it's a part of like a museum thing.
Well, I can't believe they got the thing up and running.
There was 25 originally made. Only 8 of them were kept from the scrapyard.
That's
this
a lot
is
of
the
scrap.
only one running right
Okay,
now.
and I know nothing about this, but I told
how many
you
catalytic converters you'd have to take to get that
1.2 million
much.
pounds.
I watched the Jay Leno special with this on YouTube. And,
why wouldn't you?
My favorite comedian with my favorite mode of transportation, and I have to watch it. What you said, well, imagine getting this thing up and running. That's the brilliance of the engineering of this, that there's not as much that can break down on this. They're just really letting kind of momentum do the work.
I have a football coach named Ryan. I'm not going to give you his last name. He has a buddy who's posted up in Berlin Heights at a rural crossing. Already has the screenshot right there.
Well,
ready for the big boy to come rolling
Berlin Heights. It's right on 61, buddy. I'm out there a lot.
Boom! I look at the cars that are right. I wish people could see. I hope you guys can see this.
At like 10,
look at
30,
the cars.
10, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Send us the live view.
Yeah.
This is going to be a madhouse for you folks.
It is. It's going to be
Good
everybody
for the train
dialed in.
enthusiasts,
Well, because
man.
there's not a lot of, especially out in that area, there's not a lot of traffic generally.
Yeah.
So you can do that out there.
This makes me want to get
in the middle of Lakewood, which it will be going through. If you're got kids at St. Ed's today going through a summer camp or something,
Right there.
it's going to be right there.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my gosh, you got to go out and take a look at it. You have to.
And what's going to be funny is, for a fact, somebody's going to be late for work. They're going to get to one of the crossings, and they're going to be laying on the horn. And it's like, it's only
That's
30 seconds.
unfortunate, yeah.
It'll be quick. Won't be that bad.
Yeah, but then there's going to be people walking around, and they're going to get, they're going to get mad if you're laying on the horn because this is their moment.
This isn't even like your normal one that has, 5,000 cars behind it. And
With
they're moving
graffiti all over every single
you've
car.
got to see how the story ends. Every car tells a new adventure.
Why wouldn't you tell? Yeah. I hate it when they accidentally put one that's out of place and then it throws you off.
It screws up the whole thing.
Because I go, what the hell happened over there?
From part 2.
Yeah, what's going on over there?
It's like watching Godfather 2, the wrong one first.
Can't do it like that.
Why is De Niro here?
Makes me want to get my when my kids get a little older, I want my train set back. My uncle used to have a kick-ass train set. He was so crazy about his train set. I think I told Tone this once. He had this whole village. He bought the house my dad grew up in, right? And it's this old house in Canton. And it's not very big. And I think they've redone it ever since he died. He died years ago. But I remember Uncle Jack used to go around and he had this whole village right there in what used to be the old dining room of his house. And he was so meticulous about this. He'd wear he was a car salesman and he did machinist stuff. So he would have like overalls and stuff. And he didn't want his pants to knock over things as he was fixing certain things. Like, something would blow over the tree or something. So he'd have to go fix the tree in the corner. I ain't kidding you, dude. He would take his pants off and tiptoe in his tighty whities.
Like Walter White working on the meth.
He would tiptoe in his tighty whities through his big-ass village so he could go fix one tree and then go fix a couple other things, tiptoe, put his pants back on, and away he would go with his day.
Limit the carnage.
So
I'm going to start using that as my excuse for...
I'd stay at my aunt.
I'm just trying to fix things, officer.
There's too many knobs. There's too many things. I don't want to run into them.
I'd stay at my aunt and uncle's house and come downstairs like 7:30 in the morning. My aunt wanted me in the kitchen. He's over there tiptoeing around in his underwear. That's what it was.
Just twinkle toesing?
It looked nice, man. It was nice. Uncle Jim had one, and it was like raised. It would go through the ceiling and stuff. At least that's how I remember, but I might have had too many beers. But yeah, man, the Carman family, we've been into trains for a long time, this family. 216-474-0092. I got nothing more on trains.
Rod Stewart famously has a substantial train collection that he even travels with
Real
it
trains?
on tour.
Oh, these are toy trains.
The toy train.
Okay. Sebastian Bach.
The model.
A couple other people I know are musicians who really love trains. Could tonight change the way you feel about how to put together the Cavs next year?
So it's got me thinking.
Because if it becomes 3-0 and it becomes a beating for a first, my first thought was, what do you do? Can I just explain this real quick? My first thought was like, hey, what are you going to do? They're that good. And then you go, well, if they're that good and you don't have anybody, well, it looks like, or you don't have enough, it looks like you're going to have to go get more. Does this make you more? If they go out there and they win like in 5 games, because the other night was ridiculous. I watched that game on Friday night. I know you did. It sounded like Josh Hart barely played. It sounded like Mitchell Robinson barely played. And they were up by 10 or 11, basically the entire game. And I know San Antonio had a shot to win the game. I get that right there at the very end. I saw that whole thing. Wemby had about as good a look as he's going to get at it, just missed it. If they get to 3-0, this series is over. Like if the Knicks win tonight, the series is done, which is probably not what the NBA wants. But if it gets to 3-0, you feel that they're probably going to win this thing in 5. If they win it in 5, does this make you more aggressive if you're the Cavs? I want to know from you.
Well, here's the first thing I will say. It didn't make me feel any better that the Pacers, when they beat us last year, ended up getting to the finals and nearly winning and going to Game 7. And it doesn't make me feel any better about the Cavs. Like, I know we want to do this levels of stuff, and so we thought, all right, the Knicks, after they beat us, it's a great story, but the Knicks will lose to Oklahoma City in the finals, and it'll show that there are levels and the Cavs are so far away. And so now, same people would make the argument, well, now that the Knicks, if they win the championship, are you as that far away? No, this doesn't make me feel any better about the Cavs situation. Like, that still was a humiliating series to try to sit through. And regardless of whether you think Game 1 changed everything in the series, I don't believe that. But regardless of how you feel about it, this doesn't make me feel any better about our situation. It does make you think. It doesn't
make me feel better if they go, but if it ends up being like a 7-game series.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, but man, if they win by 5, or if they win in a 5-game series, like, man, I guess we really got to get going on this.
Well, what I will say is this: we've got to stop. The NBA is the one sport we act more definitively on every team and every player. Like Karl Anthony Towns, for years, if you listen to any of the national guys that talk about this stuff, they would say the same stuff they said about Harden, Embiid. Like, these guys are great players. You cannot win with them, which is so weird. We only do this in the NBA. That great player, but you're eliminated from having a chance to win a title. They said that about Karl Anthony Towns every year, that he was a losing player. And I'm like, losing? He's this gifted big man who can, in this era of basketball, can reshape the floor, can tilt it towards your advantage, can space things out, and then is decent on defense, and then can also rebound. Like, where on earth is that not a quality player that can help you win?
I don't know.
I know he committed the dumbest
Not on this
fouls
planet.
and the dumbest turnovers. Okay, but I watch a lot of guys in big moments that, have a very, let's just say, conflicting dynamics when it comes to winning. Like, you're seeing their ups and downs like never before. Gone are the days where you just have Michael Jordan. Every year, you know exactly what he's going to give you in the finals or in the playoffs. Kobe Bryant every year, Tim Duncan every year. Like, there are ups and downs now. SGA has great games in the playoffs, and then he has bad games. Donovan Mitchell has great games, and he has bad games. Like, you're starting to see Jokic had bad games in the playoffs. We had never seen bad games out of Jokic. So it's showing that we've got to stop being so stubborn. Like, you're either a yes or a no. Like, no, that's not the case. Like, Mike Brown, he's a no. He's been fired twice by the Cavs.
That.
He's not a championship coach.
But I think that's a cop-out.
Or is he?
I get that.
Or is Karl Anthony Towns a winning player? He could win MVP of the NBA Finals.
All right, but when you have to make a move, when we're talking about trades, then that's pretty finite. You've made your decision on who you think a guy is. Like, you can't.
What I'm saying is maybe we can't do that. Maybe we can't.
Then we're not making any. Then we can't make a trade, because if you're giving me the possibility of Karl Anthony Towns, yeah, but if you're giving me the possibility of Karl Anthony Towns for Evan Mobley. Why do I want to give up Evan Mobley then? For Giannis? A guy who has been injured the last 2 years? A guy who is in his 30s? Do I want to give all that up for Giannis?
Well,
so many people are pounding their steering wheel saying, yeah, but I can't just assume that he's not going to turn into Karl Anthony Towns. So where am I supposed to stop? Because it's either you make the trade or you don't make the trade, Anthony.
Sure, I told you I would. I would trade for Giannis. But that doesn't solve all your problems either, and that doesn't guarantee you a championship.
Clearly it doesn't.
But I'm very nervous based on what I've seen out of Evan, and I saw some good things out of Evan in the playoffs. But a team that I'm like handing the keys to Evan Mobley as your best player, like, no, that's a team that I don't even know if it gets out of a play-in right now.
But
he's not remotely ready for that.
But if Evan blossoms into that player that ends up being like you brought it up, does Jalen Brunson get that close? Does he get to the finals without Karl Anthony Towns? And we're going to give Jalen Brunson all the credit in the world. And as of right now, well, there you go. So does Donovan Mitchell do it with James Harden? Or does James Harden do it with Donovan Mitchell? Like, if Evan Mobley is going to be that guy, then maybe we're talking about trading the wrong guy.
James Harden should be the third, and I said this when they traded for him. That should be your third or fourth best player. The problem in these playoffs is there were games where he was the top player on the team. That cannot be the case. That's a team that cannot win the championship. Speaking in definitives, I could tell you if you're relying on James Harden to be your best player or your second best player, no. You've got other problems on the roster. The question is, given their roster, given their cap situation, how do you improve on that? Like, it's really hard. It's really hard to do that. You know, Donovan Mitchell, I am out on him as the best player on a championship team. But there were people that said that about Jalen Brunson last year. And here we are. Now you'd say, well, that's the thing. Brunson isn't their best player. Karl Anthony Towns is their best player right now. But Brunson has been their most valuable player, you know, in this era. I think that's pretty clear. But they're winning games with Brunson being inefficient because Karl Anthony Towns has been so damn good.
Cavs Conversations brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea that ask you to please enjoy your Surfside Hard Iced Tea responsibly, as well as everything else responsibly as well. 216-474-0092. I want to know whether or not that this has any bearing on it. Because, again, if they go up 3-0, I think it forces a lot of us to be more aggressive in making a move. And speaking of moves, we're still a month and a half away, but it's time to talk about one Guardians player's future, near and far. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. Window Nation and WindowNation.com. It's time to save. It's time to save, and it's time to live better with Window Nation.
on ZipRecruiter, get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/team. That's ZipRecruiter.com/team.
ZipRecruiter. Sign up to be a part of the fan club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
Guardians lost 10-0 yesterday. Ain't no big deal.
Run differential now down to +1. Are you alarmed?
No, why? Didn't they have a negative run differential and make the playoffs like 4 times with a negative run differential?
Well, in this division, it is possible.
There you go. Stephen Kwan was 2 for 3. He's batting .220 right now. He was 6 in the lineup yesterday. Just making sure of it. David Fry ended up coming in. Stephen Kwan's future.
Stephen Kwan's future?
I almost called him Stephen Fry. Stephen Kwan's future for you. I know it's a month and a half away.
Yeah.
Okay. I got that. Well, it's really over a month and a half away. It's only June 8th. Is it a foregone conclusion that he's gone? Just hear me out. Just hear me out on this.
At the deadline?
I thought that a lot of people were planning on trading him at the deadline.
Well,
They're not.
When he wasn't batting .220, when he was the guy that used to bat.
Plays right into my hands.
Yeah.
Could he be of more use to us being lower in the order? I know he's scuffling this year. No one doubts that. But could he be, as a veteran, could he be of more use to us just to hold on to him compared to what we could possibly get? I want to know.
I say his value's bottomed out.
His value has bottomed out. So what's the point of getting rid of him?
Yeah,
right
that doesn't strike me as something this front office would do.
Doesn't strike me either. So are we looking at a full year of Stephen Kwan and into the postseason? Because I'm thinking a veteran can still, even in the field, can still help you out. I mean, he's still good defensively.
Still a Gold Glove defender.
Yeah. So he's still there. And it's like, well, once he gets, like, I know he was a great leadoff hitter for a long time. Really a short time, you think about it, but still a long time for us. And I understand that he's tried a bunch of different things, the nub of the bat. I mean, when you're doing that, I mean, you're pressing, and he's pressed all year long. I get that. But could he still be of more help? Because all it takes is just a week of singles, and all of a sudden he's kind of back and doing what he needs to do with us.
I don't think we can have a roster full of guys that bat really well 5 through 9, or look better. When you look at a guy like Rocchio's great, right? But he wants to be the 9-hole hitter. That's his spot.
Yes.
And
he's clearly disappointed he's not the leadoff hitter anymore.
Anytime that they've moved him, he doesn't bat very well.
I mean,
and then they put him back at 9 and he hits well. So you just leave him there. You think you got to playoff time, you can't just depend on guys 5 through 9. It's nice when they come through. We took one from the Tigers 2 years ago.
I said he bet 6th. I was 7th. I'm sorry. He bet it's 7th.
2 years ago, they beat the Tigers in that 5-game series where Lane Thomas had the grand slam in Game 5. Because those guys, after the 5 or after the 4 spot were really big for you. But, statistically, they're going to get up one less at bat a game, and that starts to really.
What a wild-ass career he's had. I mean, we went from he was just as good as traded to then should we offer him $25 or $30 million a year, which absolutely I participated in, 100%, definitely. You guys are right. To, well, now he's got to go, and now it's, I don't know. It just seems to be such a low return you would get. I'm going, well, he's a veteran. You could still put him 7th in the order. Like, I think the lineup's
I don't think he has to go.
A fine enough lineup. I don't think he has to go at this point.
Do you make anything about Arias? You saw he hit a home run. He's now they got 30 days to make a move with him to elevate him back up.
Well, he's a possibility.
He has no more options.
No, he
once
doesn't.
He comes back.
So what else are you going to be able to do? Because I mean, everybody else.
Well, you don't
just
want
like
him doing good right now.
Yeah, I don't want
you can DFA him and then get him into Columbus.
I mean,
but
I
you're
look
not
at
going to do that if he's hitting the ball right now.
Right now, your lineup. I like your lineup. Rocchio's great in the 9 spot. I keep wanting to call Patrick Bailey Philip Bailey. I'm sorry. I've listened to Phil Collins for a long time. It doesn't just turn off everybody. Kwan's 7th. Bazana's done fine leading off. I think he protects Jose Ramirez enough and gives Jose Ramirez some good stuff to hit. Chase DeLauder, I mean, yeah, you're going to have your ups and downs as a rookie. You got 2 rookies up there at the top of your order, but they're doing a fantastic job. I think that this week and the next couple of weeks are going to make a big difference because you're starting to get into some real nitty-gritty June baseball. But 3-3, I understand that it sucked. I was way more upset about Friday night's loss than I was yesterday's loss. Yesterday's loss, even though it comes with Kentillo questions, I was way more upset with giving up a lead back on Friday night than I was yesterday. Yesterday, it's just, that's a bad day at the office. I know there's been a few bad days here recently for Joey Cantillo. I still think they should be able to get some things figured out. You can't be giving up on these guys too quickly. Not this rotation, not this rotation, not this pitching staff altogether, and certainly not this organization. It's not the organizations to be giving up on people so quickly.
What's really interesting is on paper, or not on paper, by the eye, doesn't it seem like, because DeLauder obviously burst onto the scene with that power early on, and then hasn't been able to find that, but he walks and finds ways to help the team. And then Bazana, who we're going to be talking about him as an all-star,
Yes.
potentially. Plus, voting-wise, he's going to get
Cade Smith. We'll talk about him as an all-star. Sorry,
yeah, there's exciting reasons that you didn't have in the past, but yet you look, their slugging and on-base plus slugging is in the bottom 4 in Major League Baseball. So it doesn't feel that way.
No.
They were in the middle of the road. They were middle of the road for a long time. Their offense has went south over the last month, but yet here they are in first place, and by what, 2.5, 3 games?
2 games, right?
2 games
over the White Sox.
Is Skubal going to pitch? Because they're still 9 games out of the first place.
What they're talking about,
and he's going to pitch on Friday.
It'd be a Bybee Skubal game on Friday.
I'm going to that.
I'm hopefully going to.
Hopefully he isn't listening. Who might be listening to this? But yeah, I'm going to that. If it. They can't be showcasing. They're trying to make a run back into this. I mean, they put a lot up. Yeah, the Tigers I'm talking about. Sorry, they're not showcasing Tanner Bybee. At least I hope not.
Well, not after he got run support the other day.
But you can't showcase a guy when it's if you trade for him, you know what you're trading for. And Bybee did get run support the other day, thank God.
But much to Anthony Lima's chagrin.
I'm not trying to.
I appreciate the commitment to the bit. I kind of want Tanner Bybee at this stage. I want him to be 0-10. Not because I want to see us lose. I just want the ridiculousness of the lack of run support to be so evident that everybody's this is the hardest luck of hardest luck.
That's a lot of confidence you show in the club that you actually want them to lose games and you still have confidence they're going to win the division.
Because every time I kept looking at that, I was like, how is it possible he doesn't have a win yet?
May 25th.
Very weird day.
Any update on the trains? They still coming?
Oh, I'm watching it. I got my tracker up right now.
As of right now, it is on its way from Bellevue.
Your friend's buddy who's out in Berlin, get ready. It'll be there shortly.
It's coming soon. Big thanks to everybody who joined us today. The Dangerous One was great. We're back tomorrow, 6 to 10. For Big Country, for Jeff, for John, not little Johnny, John. John C. Colavita.
Oh, that's what his last name is?
Yeah. I don't know what his middle name is. What if it is
it's not Tortellini, Owen?
That's what it is in my phone. And
John Tortellini. John Fusilli. Back tomorrow, 6 to 10. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go Guardians. That's the only one, yeah. That's it. I was going to say go Cavs, but never mind.
Go Mike Brown?
If you want to say it, fine.
Thank you for paying attention and making sure that you're not booing, but you clap.
Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.